right, we should be live. YouTube has a new back end, so this is different. Okay. So we are live for the masterclass. In this masterclass, I will show you guys how to go from beginner to pro. I will basically shortcut you tens of years of time. I've been doing this focus for since 2014. So if you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorksBeats.com, and we've trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Post Malone, I already said that, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Glorilla. Some have won Grammys, some have won platinum plaques. So I want to share that knowledge with you guys, because even with AI advancements and even with all these assisting tools, we still have to know what we're trying to create. And the craft of music, the fun of music, is building the music, knowing how to actually create this block and that block and this block. Quick story, my fiance the other day was studying one of her favorite producers, Skeller. So Skeller, if you watch these videos, please connect with me, it'd be dope. And so she was studying Skeller, for example, and she had to learn how to sound design something. So she asked me to help with some like sawtooth pluck sound, and I had to kind of reverse engineer to figure out what she was trying to create. And I just made a little quick tweak, and it created the pluck sound, and then she could go about what she was trying to create. And that showed me that, because she makes all types of stuff from funk wave to now it's like hard styles and just different stuff. Let me make sure the audio is piping through, because hold on, y'all. Great. Okay, audio is good. And so basically what I'm saying is, she wanted to revisit Serum 2, because she realized, a lot of these guys who are teaching this new style of music are using Serum 2. And then she's like, man, where can I learn Serum 2? And I'm like, who else will teach you Serum 2? Your boy. And so it just made me realize like how important it is to, just be able to enlighten people. What we're doing with this music production technology is we're giving people the access to understand really deep esoteric stuff. Once you understand what a wave is, for example, like how to create. Oh, I didn't even send this to the Discord. My bad. I forgot to hit enter. We should probably let the Discord know we're live. There we go. Whoops. So, enlightening people is one of the greatest feelings ever. So this masterclass will be literally taking you from knowing nothing. Like, you don't even need to know what a doll is right now. You don't need to know what the note A is. You don't need to know what chords are. I'm going to explain a lot of stuff that was missing from your fundamental upbringing in music production. You're going to think music production is daunting, because there's a lot of teachers, and this is not their fault, it's just the nature of social media. They will teach you these really advanced things, but they never give you the building blocks as to how they got there. And again, that's not their fault. It's really just the way the internet works and human desire works. When I say I want to learn a workout, I want to look at the guy who has six-pack abs and who's an Olympian. I want to learn from him. And the problem is, though, he can bench 500 pounds and I can barely bench, 150, let's say. I'm just making up a number. So it's like I could try to do that right away, bench 500 pounds, but I'm probably going to hurt myself in the gym if I just started benching 500 pounds. It wouldn't make sense to do what he does at his level. And so we have to do it level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And I've taught so many people that I've seen where people have a lot of what they call gaps in knowledge. Okay, so even if you're a super beginner, this is really for you to demystify music production. I've just trained so many people, and the way I learned was by doing stuff wrong, people getting things wrong. And that's how you learn how to actually solve a problem. So this isn't just memorizing steps. This is giving you the pillars of education so that you can actually move forward and be enlightened to create whatever you want from your heart's intent. And that's where you want to be as a music producer. Will it take time? Of course. I could teach you music theory in a day, but to really absorb music theory, it may take a month. Music production really in hip hop is 90% sounds. So once you get the right sounds and you understand tresillo, for example, and minor chords, suspended chords, and the simple minor scales, you're pretty much there. You don't have to even learn mixing, really. All right, so let's get started. I want to thank everybody who's already here. We got Journey here. We got some Russian letters I can't pronounce. Shout out to you. We got Space Monk in here. Dude is talking music to metaphysics. Yeah, think about it. We know how to understand waves. Lamar is here. What up? Popo's here. I want to know how to reverse a beat to scratch to understand each part of a beat. So you have to learn the fundamentals. You can't reverse engineer if you don't know how to. For example, I can't look at a car and reverse engineer how it's built if I don't even know what a gasket is. You can't reverse engineer if you don't know the underlying components. Rock O is here. Bafag is here. Nas is here. All right, so let's get this thing started. What up, Dizzy? All right, so I'll let the Discord know. So I'm just giving them a little time to hop in. From Ukraine. Okay, that's for Ukraine letters. Shout out to Ukraine. All right, let me just double check the audio, y'all. Ukraine. Oh, okay, cool. Audio's good. Hidden treasures in here. What up? So I want to give you guys a little boost in your music production. So if you guys go to the pin link, it's busyworksbeats.com/black-bonus. You guys will get one of our free analog lab banks completely for free. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/black-bonus. Okay. So that's where I have all the free stuff for you guys today as a thank you for watching. So let's get today started. What up, Dantana? And let's start at the really core. I got to X all these windows out. I got all this stuff open. Give me a second, y'all. And then we'll hop straight into beat making here. So we're going to use FL Studio to teach, but I teach in Logic Pro. I teach in different DAWs here and there. Now, Ableton, I don't teach in as much, but it's pretty much, hold on. But it's pretty much the same process as a Logic Pro for the most part. So Ableton's the one DAW. Unless you request Ableton, I don't really go over Ableton. It doesn't mean I don't teach Ableton. It's just nobody really asks for it. All right, so let's save our project as a masterclass and let's say live stream masterclass. So again, this is a rough generalization of everything I teach. To truly teach you every single thing about music production in 1 hour is impossible. So anybody lying to you guys, just don't fall for it. Okay, let's see here, live stream. But I will give you guys a good gist on where to take it. What's the first thing you should learn in FL Studio? You got to learn how to move around in FL Studio. You can't learn music production if you don't know your DAW's commands and functions. So that's the first step. First step is technically you want to learn, how to save, how to download your DAW, how to add plugins into your DAW, how to add sounds, how to go to the mixer in your DAW. Yeah, sorry, dog. You're just doing a little too much, getting a little too antsy. All right. So basically what I'm saying here is you have to learn the functionality of your DAW. The same way when you drive a car, I can teach you how to race, but you still have to learn how to turn your turn signal on in your car. You have to learn the basics of your car. Not that you need to learn everything about your car to learn how to race. All right. So real quick, who am I? I'm Game from busyworksbeats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Glorilla. Some have won Grammys, some have won plaques. If you don't believe me, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Check out those testimonials. If you want even more proof, go to my Instagram, instagram.com/busyworksbeats, and you'll see all the student successes under my highlights. There's a ton of student successes from people who are in the industry to people who are the average Joe out their bedroom. You don't necessarily need to be a music industry producer to be successful in the music business. And I think that's where the people can't fathom that. Recently, funny enough, good timing, Sunny Digital on Twitter. Let me pull this up real quick because this is kind of what I've been trying to tell you guys, but I'm not here to preach. I just want to teach you guys this masterclass and then we'll get into the bigger stuff here. But Sunny Digital had a very, and he's talk about a industry producer. He's kind of like the go-to producer for things out of ATL. And he said this, which is very, let me see how long ago it was. Okay, he tweets a lot. Okay, so here's Sunny Digital. He now streams on his Twitch and I believe other platforms, I'm not sure. But Sunny Digital said, I made more money online in 3 months than I made in music in 3 months. Music industry is so burnt. I'm telling y'all, start streaming now. F the music BS. And regardless of where you guys put your focus, whether it's online or the industry, I guess the point in what I'm trying to articulate through Sunny Digital's tweet is that we have to learn how to build our own businesses, our own online presence. And that's what I've been teaching for years now. And behind the scenes, I was trying to tell you guys, a lot of the industry producers come to me behind the scenes because they're trying to figure out how to create their online businesses. And because they realize very quickly they're not in control in the music business, the music industry, I'll say, they're not in control. So the way you become in control is you create your own business. And that's what I've been teaching for 10 years now. And I've seen the wave, okay? So wait, did you guys see the screen just then? I think I switched screens and didn't realize. Let me make sure y'all saw. Y'all saw the tweet? say yes or no. Just let me know. So I make sure I wasn't on full screen the whole time. But shout out to everybody from our Discord. We got tacos and welding. Learning music is successful in itself, a great gift. Okay, cool. Thank you, Rocco. Plank is here. What up, Delrick? That's an interesting name, Delrick. My name is Delrick. Straight from the mail, Rick. Bergio is here. Why does the link not work? Does the link not work? Let me fix this. If it doesn't work, then I need to. So it may not work because I just transfer my domain. So let me double check to make sure. Oh, dang. Okay, it doesn't work. All right, so I need to fix that. All right, so instead of, let's do this in real. I probably should have, this is why I probably should have tested that before I just gave out the link. All right, let's just do this here. How are we going to do this? Give me a second, guys. I got to fix this link issue. It should take about 2 minutes here, but this is part of the music business. Running your own music business, this is part of it. Okay, you got to learn how to fix stuff when stuff breaks, and stuff breaks when you don't even expect it to break. All right, so let me just link this bad boy. So what will you learn today? I'm going to show you guys melody secrets. I'm going to show you guys rhythm secrets. I'm going to show you guys FL Studio stuff you probably didn't know. Okay. Hopefully my son is not going to go crazy with this live stream because I really don't have time today. Lamar Dennis, Can 8 Love Legacy is here. All right. What up? So yeah, let me know in the chat too what you guys' biggest obstacle is in music production so that I can actually, hold on, yeah, I got to log into my email and all this. So I can actually address it during the live stream because that's my goal. Okay, is to figure out how to serve you guys better. So let's do this. My bad, y'all was asking for a login code and all this. Oh my, so much back end stuff I got to do. All right, skip this screen. Goodness. But as a producer, what should I do? You said what? But as a producer, what I should do? Give me your advice. What do you mean what you should do? That's very vague. I don't know what you mean. You gotta be more specific. You said making melodies, Busy FL or Logic, and why? Mixing and sound selection, to be honest. So sound selection, there's really no course. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys like I have the magical course for sound selection. You got to just listen to more sounds. That's the answer. Okay, so the answer to sound selection is to listen to more sounds. I know that sounds super basic, but that's really the answer. Because it's like Pokemon, for example. Like, how do I know I need to use a Blastoise versus a Charizard? It's because I've seen them, for one, and for two, Blastoise is better at extinguishing fire Pokemon, whereas the Charizard might be better with grass Pokemon. So you just have to understand the purpose of sounds, and that's what I teach is the 4 layers. We'll get into it. I don't want to jump the gun too much, so forgive me all on the link. Let me see if this link is fixed here. Why is this? It just does so much crazy stuff when you mess with blah, blah, blah. When you edit your domain, it just does so many crazy things here. So I don't know why that's not working. And I really don't have time to be figuring this out. So here's what I'll do. I'll just link it directly and we're not going to use any redirects. How about that? How about that? So now you guys get the ugly link. Click here for your free analog lab bank. I spelled bank wrong. Great. Now I got to do that again. Okay. Click here for your free analog lab bank. So sorry about that error, y'all. I just propagated, I think it's called, my domain. So it caused a bunch of issues that I wasn't aware of. All right. So now that that's partially corrected, I'll just leave a link below where you guys can get all the free stuff that I'm promising today. Again, the whole promise is a free analog lab bank with 50 presets for trap, R&B. All right. So let's get started. We don't have any more time to waste. So you guys are basically, you said while making money is harder now in the music industry, sound design co-producers and AI that analyzes, had FL Studio, but never finished a track, starting over from the beginning. Okay, so you're a beginner for real. Should I mix the track first? There's AI for sound selection. Want to understand the progression so I can activate. Okay, so basically progressions, and you said drum patterns and then sound selection. So the core of everything I'm about to teach. Okay, good. All right, so let's get to rocking. We've spent enough time fixing things. So the first thing we need to understand in music is that if you lack direction in your melody, chances are it's a chord issue, okay? So let me show you guys on this app real quick called Chord Watch. All right. So firstly, I can show anybody how to create any chord. So let's create a really lush chord. So even if you know nothing about music theory, you don't even know the names of the piano notes, I'm literally going to close my eyes as you guys can see. Let me make sure you guys can actually see. What up, Marty Menning? He says, I'm new here. How to use the metronome? The metronome's like a heartbeat. Every time your heart beats, it's called a pulse. So think of your heartbeat like a beat. And then we usually count to 4 in America. So it's boom, 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 boom. And then it repeats. Boom, 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 boom. And then it repeats. And then we just count to 4. So bars are when we combine heartbeats. But the heartbeat itself is called the beat. So anytime you guys get confused about beats versus bars, that's how you understand it. It's like a heartbeat. So I'm going to close my eyes, pick a random note, and I pick 2. But let's start at B. You don't even need to know what this note is. I'm going to show you guys how to build what's called a minor ninth chord. And I have a free chord code chart if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com. Now let me make sure this link works because all my links are apparently not working. I tested them on the different computers, so I don't know why it's not working now. Let me double check this link to make sure it actually sends you to where it's supposed to go. It doesn't send you there. Why is my stuff all over the place? Okay, just go to, let me make sure my own website works. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Actually, okay. Okay, this link works. Duh. Why am I using that link? Okay, here's the link that works. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. How about that? Tell me my own link works. This is what I get for changing the link the day before a live stream. Okay. So many things I don't understand about the domain culture. All right, so try that link. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. Now, if this doesn't work, then I need to call up HostGator. We need to figure out some stuff. HostGator, you're redirecting my traffic. You're redirecting it to ClickFunnels. What are you doing? All right, so let me know if busyworksbeats.com works. That should work. Now, if that don't work, then I don't know what to tell you. But that's where you guys can claim your free downloads for today. Okay, so go to busyworksbeats.com and just sign up. It's completely for free. So where did we start? We started at B. You don't even need to know what this note is on the keyboard. So I'm going to show you guys how to create one of the most jazzy chords out there, which is called a minor ninth chord. But what is a chord? A chord is a sequence of notes. They all have a DNA to them. For example, I'll just quickly demonstrate. The difference between a minor chord and a major chord is one note. It's the middle note. So here's a minor chord. Now, if we change this middle note, you said it's sending error page for busyworksbeats.com? No way. Somebody test busyworksbeats.com. There's no way we're getting an error at busyworksbeats.com. Please report back. You guys are my tech team. So the difference between a minor and a major chord. Oh, when you click claim, that doesn't work? Good Lord, man. Jeez. I probably should have done this before live. But hey, life comes with obstacles, y'all. You got to learn how to pivot. All right, here, let me figure this out in a second. So this takes you to, okay, an error. Wow, that sucks. Okay, let's figure this the F out. Now I'm getting mad. Now I'm gonna get mad. My free downloads takes you to the wrong page. What is all this BS? Hold on, y'all. busyworksbeats. This is annoying. Would you guys mind if I went offline, came back on? You said it works on my end. So it works on some people's end and not on other people's end. This is confusing. It doesn't work on my end. It worked yesterday. Now it doesn't work. So I don't know what is causing the issue. This is gonna bother me. Okay, busyworksbeats.com works, not the link. You said keep the live, bro? All right, I just hate wasting time, and this is such a time waste. Edit. Oh, I gotta fix this link. Maybe it's just a link issue. Sweating bullets over here. Hold up, y'all. Copy. Okay, copy this. Sorry, I'm fixing something on the back end. Just give me a second. Boy, boy, boy. Won't the devil F you up sometimes? The devil. It's the devil. I guarantee you it's the devil trying to F stuff up. You know I was going live. He said, let me see if I could throw a little wrench in there. It's like, nah, this is all my doing. It is all my doing. I'm the one who changed domains, and maybe I just didn't hit publish. We're going to try this one more again. Now, if this doesn't work, I'm going to just say, hey, look, in good faith, I'll just assume y'all will find my website eventually. If you haven't already, subscribe. But this is live. As you guys can see, this is really live. I'm trying to give you guys value, but the internets are acting weird. So we are just trying to figure out a way to give you guys these free downloads that I promised. That's all. Brother, just trying to give you free downloads. Okay, it says published. Now, if this don't work, I'm going to be heated. It's already hot in here. Okay, it should work. Now, somebody in the chat, let me know if that works. It shows that it works on my end, but if it doesn't work on your end, then I'm gonna have to call some executives. Tony, you told me the Shopify works. What happened? All right. So somebody check that link. This should work, God willing. Also, try in an incognito tab so that your cache is cleared or whatever, or your cookies or whatever. All right, so what I'm trying to show you guys is I can show anybody how to create a chord, because the difference between a minor chord and a major chord is one note. It's the middle note. It works, thank God. Thank you, Plank. Thank you, Plank. So I do have to fix one of my free downloads tabs. So if you guys click on free downloads, it won't work. So just click on that first link where it says it. Thank you. Whew. I'm like, bruh, I'm sweating bullets over here. Y'all have no idea the pressure going live and then something not working and you got to fix it in real time. That's, I guess we just manifested my point from earlier. That's the difference. You know, I have to solve stuff in real time. Anyway, difference between minor and a major chord is the middle note. But what truly makes a minor chord? Nobody ever tells you. They tell you the first, the third, and the fifth. Well, in order to create the first, the third, and the fifth scale degree, you have to have a scale. What if you don't know anything about scales? And that's what I always hated about traditional music theory is they force you to memorize stuff that you shouldn't have to memorize. I could tell you the DNA of a chord. For example, the DNA of a minor chord is 0, 3, 7, meaning wherever I start is 0. Thank you, chat. No, y'all helped me, because if nobody ever told me, I would have just assumed my site worked from last night. So I appreciate y'all. That really means a lot to me. Because people won't tell you when stuff breaks unless it's like important. They will not tell you that it's broken. Okay, anyway, so here's the root note. This is 0, and this is where I created chord codes. Now, there is something called note integer notation, but I wasn't aware of note integer notation. You know, this is how I discovered it when I was sound designing. That's why I call it chord codes. So here we have 0. This is the root note, and all we got to do is just count up the keyboard. Every chord has a DNA to it, a sequence of notes, the same way our DNA has a sequence of letters. What up, something, 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 HTK? So this is 0, 3, 7 will always create the minor chord no matter where I am. I'm going to prove it to you guys. So here's the root note 0. And again, you don't even need to know what this note is on the keyboard. So 0, and all we got to do is count up the keyboard note by note. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3. Hold that note, 4, 5, 6. Whoops. Let's do it again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we have a minor chord no matter where you are on the keyboard. But what is a half and a whole? When you say whole and half and all that, a whole step is 2 semitones. A half step is 1 semitone. So I'm getting to the core of what we're actually talking about, which is number. And this is why they say people who are smart at math, people who are good at music or good at math, is because when you truly understand music, it is math. It's numbers. So I've discovered that by accident, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So that's called chord codes. Now, what makes a major chord? The major chord is 0, 4, 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. Now we have the major chord. Now people who are from the traditional side of music theory, they're always like, man, why are you teaching people number? You can't apply that to real instruments. You can't. They always say you can't. Okay, well, I asked them, I say, open up Serum real quick and plug in the first scale degree, the third scale degree, and the fifth scale degree. And they can never do it because that is a relative system. What I'm teaching you is what actually creates tone. Let me show you guys some magic real quick, just to show you that this is not just about theory. So let's say you guys want to create like a Yeet sound or like a Playboy Cardi sound, and you want that kind of club vibe. So here's the tone. Let me turn off my keyboard. Hold on, I gotta go on the Logic, turn off my keyboard real fast. So here's a sound. This is a sawtooth sound. And we're gonna make a club sound. Now, how do you make a club sound? You add a perfect fifth. Well, how do you add a perfect fifth? You can't just click oscillator B and then say, okay, play a perfect fifth. It doesn't know what a perfect fifth is. You have to set the semitone value. So the semitone value is why the number system that I use is so important, because a perfect fifth is always 7 notes up from the root note. So 0 and 7 in this case will create a perfect fifth. And you get this kind of rage sound. And then now you got the Playboi Carti sound just like that. That's 2 notes playing. So see how music theory goes beyond just theory? It also goes into sound design as well. So let's say I wanted to create a major chord using just 1 note on my actual keyboard. I would type in 0, that's my semitone, and then 4, which is the major third, and then I would do +7. So 0, 4, 7, the major chord, and I can play 1 note on my keyboard. Just to prove it to you, I'll show you my Chord Watch app. I'm going to play 1 note, and I'm playing a major chord even though I'm only playing 1 note. And that's how these DJs get that kind of sound when they add plucks. They'll build a chord into the sound and then they'll add a filter. For example, let me just quickly add a little filter. Not that this isn't going to be so much about sound design, but I just wanted to show you guys what this would sound like. So we're actually playing an entire minor chord. And this is how I built some of those Analog Lab patches for you guys. So let me pull up one of the packs that I'm going to give you guys for free. Let me see here, Analog Lab. So again, if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com, I pray my links work. May the Lord help my links work, because I did some stuff on the back end of my website yesterday to where I imported my domain to my Shopify and it caused so much back end issues. So forgive my links for not working, guys, but I appreciate you guys for helping me fix that. So they should work. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. Let's pray that that will be the working link for today. So that's where you guys can claim your free downloads. And one of those free downloads was an Analog Lab bank, which you guys can actually download something called Analog Lab Play. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. You guys familiar in the chat of Analog Lab Play? That's their free version. And as long as you have the most updated version, you can import our Analog Lab banks. So for people who had errors, it's because you probably didn't update your Analog Lab in a while. So you want to make sure you update Analog Lab. We're on version 5, but you guys can use the Analog Lab Play. And I believe they allow you to import banks into Analog Lab Play. I know that's a mouthful, but think of it like Kontakt, how Kontakt has certain libraries in there, but you have to have the full Kontakt to access the libraries you may want. But then there's a free version of Kontakt. And depending on how the developer did the deal on the back end with the native instruments, determines if you guys can play their libraries with the free version. So it's the same exact thing with Analog Lab. Yes, it works with Analog Lab 5. So one of the packs I created is called Vengeance, for example. And the way I created these, or not Vengeance, I think it was Splice actually. So this one, the way I created some of these sounds. You said the link isn't working? Jeez Louise, man. I only have so much patience with this link. Well, you guys are going to have to just go back to my website eventually. We're just going to have to do it off of good faith. So I don't know why it's working for some people. It's not working for others. Maybe clear your cache. I don't know. But it's working on my side of things. So it might be a cache issue. I'm not sure. So forgive any link errors. My bad, guy. So anyway, the reason this sounds like this. Okay, the reason it sounds like that is because in this specific plugin, I can add what's called chord select, and then I can actually play. I think that's how we did the sound, actually. I might be wrong. This one actually is just set the semitone values. I set them manually. So we're playing 2 notes. It's not just 1 note. Okay, thank you, Popo. It's just like a consensus. Like some people are saying yes, some people saying no. But anyway, my point is we're playing 2 notes stacked. And the way you can apply this to sound design is understanding at the core level, that is what makes up a chord, is the number value, which semitones we're actually playing. I know there's a mouthful, but you guys will understand it more as I kind of unlock more stuff for you. So let's take this kind of beginner concept called chord codes, where I still didn't show you guys the minor 9. So here is the 0. Now the minor 9th chord, when you guys go to busyworksbeats.com and you sign up for free, you'll get access to my Google Drive download vault, where it says basically We have charts and all types of stuff. So go to the music theory folder for the charts. You'll find a chord code chart there. Inside the chord code chart, I'll show you different chord code styles. So it's the minor ninth is 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. And I'll even show you the secret behind this to where you don't have to memorize all this stuff. Okay, so 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. So 0, count up your keyboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Play all these notes together. You get a minor ninth chord just like this. Now, how do we make this melodic? What we could do is use only these 5 notes to create a melody. But I'll show you guys a more advanced technique, which is what we're going to do is double what's called the second note here. We're going to take this note and add it up an octave. So we could either add a note or just move it up an octave. So let's just move it up an octave. So instead of playing D here, we're going to play it up. And this is called voicing. So we can have a different chord, but we can all play it differently depending on the vibe we're going for. So this is called chord voicing, and this is what unlocks R&B, neo soul, jazz, those genres. They're just changing the voicing of a chord. So let's move this note, D, up an octave. And now let's play backwards. Now it sounds way more melodic because what we're doing is, for the more advanced people, what we're doing is voicing the chord and we're aligning it with what would naturally happen in the harmonic series. Okay, so that's what, when we get deeper into sound design, you guys will understand what I'm saying here. The harmonic series is basically how frequency naturally stacks up and the intervals in which it stacks up. So all we're doing is just following nature's pattern of harmonics. And now we have a melody from a 5-note chord, just like that. So that's the power of chord codes. And that's what I wanted to show you guys first, because that one thing will break you out of so much music theory fog, because you'll start realizing, oh, I don't need to memorize scales. In fact, some of the best chords come from going outside of your scale. I'll just give you guys a couple of musical examples here. So this is not to be memorized, but I just want to show you guys some examples. So this is called, let me make sure my MIDI is turned on here. Okay. Here's what we'll do, because you guys need to see the notes on the screen. So I'm just going to turn these down in volume. Boom. Going to the piano roll. Okay, now you can see the notes. So I'm going to show you guys, again, we'll get into this probably later in the video. Here's our minor ninth chord. This is called an altered chord. We're going out of the key here. Going out of the key again. Yeah, what up, James? We're live. So we went out of the key many times, and that is the sound. Like, the sound you guys want most of the time is going out of the key. So when you guys stress about being in this scale and that scale, I'm like, you probably don't want to focus on just what scale you're in. You want to focus on what you're trying to do with the music. And most of the time what you're trying to do is just resolve the music. And when you truly understand what I'm saying, the power of dominant chords, for example, I'm just kind of forecasting so you guys can get motivated here. So this is called a 2-5-1, and I'll show you the magic behind what this means. That's called resolution. Now I went out of key, technically. We could do the same thing, 2-5-1, starting at what's called D. I played that sloppy. Let's do it again. That's a 2-5-1 in the key of C major. Let's say we want to keep going. And now I could just play dominant chords leading into the... Okay, you can just keep moving around different keys based on your dominant to tonic resolution. And that's the power when you understand how to not use music theory in the traditional way and break out of that kind of simple mindset of the scale. You guys will unlock a lot more. So let's get into some of the basics of melody. Again, I showed you one of the basics, which is to raise the third of a sound. So I'm going to assume you guys don't have MIDI controllers. I don't want to, teach you too much about the keyboard because you may not have a keyboard. So let's just start clicking in stuff, and I'll show you guys how simple it is. So give me guys in the chat real quick, give me a genre, and then I'll show you guys the keys to that genre. So just pick any genre. Now try to be like, dance hall. Probably not going to show you guys dance hall right now, but something simple like R&B, even neo soul, or trap or whatever. So what I want to show you guys today, and let's use some of the analog lab stuff that I've been building for you guys, because I've been sound designing like crazy. So each bank has 50 sounds. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 banks. So I made 250 sounds for you guys for analog lab. Boom bap, Travis Scott. Let's start with Travis Scott, only because boom bap can be a lot of things and it's very vague. Boom bap could be jazz theory, it could be blues theory, it could be a lot of things. Travis Scott is a little more specific. So let's go to this patch or the bank called Euphoria, and let's load up. Actually, you know what? I think I have a bank from Inventions called like combo something. Like I made so many sounds, I forgot where the heck I put them. But anyway, here's a pad in here. Somewhere in here is a pad. Why am I going blank on where this thing is? I'm gonna find it, y'all. Here it is. It's the wrong pack. Phantom Trap. Okay, here's the pack. So this is called Phantom Trap. So for example, Travis Scott would use what's called a suspended chord. What is a suspended chord? I don't want to hear a flat third. Technically, it is a flat third on a minor chord, but there's too much to remember. A suspended chord is 0, 2, 7. Wherever we start on our keyboard is 0. So Travis Scott produces in E minor and F minor. E minor is a really, really depressing key, probably the most depressing key. F minor is more of a rebellious key. So you'll see them building around E and F minor because of that reason, and also because there's built-in tension from E to F because it's a half step away, one note away. But we're still using the white notes, so that's why a lot of people use E minor and F minor for Travis Scott hip hop or trap. Shout out to Popo. So here we're going to create what's called a suspended chord. So this is our 0 point. This is where we start. The point of relative distance is 0. And then we're going to count up 2 notes. So count up 2 notes. 1, 2. This is called technically the proper name for it is the major second, but basically this is the beginning of what's called the suspended second chord. So 0, 1, 2. And then we need to finish out the chord code, which is 0, 2, 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. And just like that, we have a suspended second chord. Now, what we do to create a Travis Scott type of transition is we take this middle note and we pull it up to 0, 3, 7. So we go from a really tense chord called a suspended second chord because it keeps you in suspense. And then we move up to a minor chord to release some of the tension, but it's still a dark chord. Now to thicken this chord, we're going to take these bottom notes. We're going to hit Control down in FL Studio and then duplicate it again. Now, Travis Scott might use more smeary sound, and I'll show you guys how to really get an instantly smeary sound. Let's hit Control L, send the sound to the mixer. We're going to add a plugin called Hyperchorus in FL Studio. It's a completely free plugin, and this is really good for the Travis Scott. I'm going to show you guys even more than just the suspended chords into the major or the minor. I'll show you guys a little bit more because this is where we get into the scale approach. And the reason you guys might have issues is because a scale, when you just click in notes, you're guessing. Whereas in real life, I could visually map out a scale just visually. I could say, okay, I'm here at E. So the only note in E minor that I could hear that doesn't sound right is the note F. So it's all the white notes except for F. Okay, so we're gonna map that out. Now that's the one thing that does not translate to digital DAWs is the concept of just visual shapes, because we're producing sideways. It's not the same thing as producing looking straight at a keyboard. So just, give yourself grace to understand that understanding scales horizontally, it's gonna seem confusing, okay? So in this case, we're gonna skip F and we're gonna use all the white notes. So this is where we focus on the scale. Okay, so here's our scale. Now let's say we want to get a little more exotic than just 2 notes. Dun, dun. Really, the funniest part about this chord progression is only 1 note changed. So here's where we get into arrangement as well. So people who struggle with arrangement, it's because you don't have enough puzzle pieces. So right now we really only have 2 puzzle pieces. We're going dun. Let's go. We only have 2 things to choose from. So we need more variety. So what we're going to do is duplicate this over. And now we're going to create what I call a B section. So a B section is not a bridge. A B section is just a variation of something happening. And this is why I recommend you guys use my 4-component system. So my 4-component system is really simple here. And again, I'm kind of jumping across a lot of core concepts. So if you ever get confused, just go to busyworksbeats.com. I have a lot of courses that, let me make sure this website works actually. Hold on, let me double check to make sure my other website works still. Because again, my links are all over the place. Why does this not work? That's weird. But if you go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, you're going to get an error, I guess, at first, but then it's going to send you to the right page. So I don't know why that's tripping out. So I got to figure that out too. Or just go to musicproduceruniversity.com. That's the direct link. So all my stuff is broken. That's why I shouldn't have done this at a critical time. But you live and you learn here, huh? So I'm skipping over some of the core concepts like scale degrees, the nomenclature, modes, where they come from. I am skipping, some fundamentals here just to kind of keep this moving forward. So here I have a 4-component system, and this will help you guys arrange. So when you guys struggle with arrangement, it's not the sounds. You have to understand the purpose, the intent behind each sound that you add to a track. So the way we map out intent is we create the 4 components. First component here is called the top line. The goal of the top line is to be a memorable melody that sticks in our head. And there are music theory ways of going about becoming more memorable. But for now, we're not going to get too deep into the rabbit hole. The next component is called the harmony section. So this is where we add our chords and stuff that plays, together. Basically, when you have 2 notes or more, that's a chord. That's the old definition of a chord, is when you play 2 different notes or more. It's not 3, like people will tell you nowadays. That's why you're so confused about music theory. It's because people haven't really studied to the core of what it actually is. They just kind of memorize and regurgitate. I guarantee you watch 10 music theory tutorials, they'll always tell you a chord is 3 notes or more. It's 2 notes or more if you look at the old definition. And that is because 2 notes or more can create different harmonies. You can create a tritone, you can create a perfect fifth, you can create a perfect fourth, you can create a major third, a minor third, what else? Minor second. You can create a major second. You can create augmented interval. Okay. Augmented fifth. So there's a lot of things you could do. And that sounds more convoluted than what it actually is. But my point is playing 2 notes or more is a chord. So that we call that harmony. Okay. Because some songs don't require 3 notes or more. They just don't. Okay, so now let's go to what's called the contrast layer. So somebody asked me earlier about sound selection, and this is where you begin the purpose of why you choose sounds. And lastly, you have what's called the rhythm component. So again, it's not what sound should be the rhythm. It's I need a rhythm in my song. What sound can play rhythmically? Okay, so this will help you also organize your section. So here we have the harmony section. But let's say we want a different vibe. So let's clone this over, hitting Shift, left click. Let's make this unique. And here's where we're going to leverage the scale. So I need to copy our scale from pattern 1 over to pattern 2. All right, so we're going to use this as just a rough outline. Now, again, the reason we're doing this is because you can't visually see it on the keyboard when you're drawing in notes. So that is why I map out the scale to the right as a reference. I don't change the scale highlighting because that will burn into your memory, a bad memory, because basically the way your eye gets used to FL Studio will change if you keep using scale highlight. Okay. So now that we have this, we need to create a different vibe. So one thing we could do is start at the tonic note or just start at a completely different note. For now, let's just start at the tonic, meaning the root note of a scale. So when you hear the word key and scale, the key is the bottom note. So in this case, E. Okay, that's the key. Now the scale is the sequence of notes that sound good starting from E. We can have different scales. We can have E Phrygian, which is all the white notes starting from E. And that alone has created so many hip hop melodies, just E Phrygian, all the white notes starting from E. You guys have heard that melody a million times. Okay, now E minor has a different sequence. So they're all just different sequences starting from the same exact note, okay? And how do we create those sequences? Whole steps and half steps, meaning a whole step is 2 notes away, a half step is 1 note away. So it's just a different sequence every single time. The major scale would be a little bit different. Actually, I don't know the entire, it'd be whole, half, it'd be whole, whole, half. So let's do this. E major sounds kind of sick, actually. Actually sounds pretty cool. Never really sat to listen to E major, but that's what separates the sounds, okay, of the scales, is just the sequence of notes. So I don't want to complicate and tell you guys to memorize scales because you don't have to memorize it. When you get an actual keyboard, you'll start memorizing the shape way more than memorizing notes, okay? So I want to save you time thinking that scales are that important. But the reason we're using a scale today is because we want to take these notes, and let me make sure my head's not in the way. My head in the way? Yeah, it is in the way. Okay, we want to take these notes over here and duplicate them. So we're just mapping out what's called the E minor scale, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, for those who want to know the formula for it. And we also have scale codes for free at busyworksbeats.com when you guys sign up. Okay, so what we need to do here is figure out how to make this sound different because it sounds the same right now. So the first place you want to look for without changing the vibe too much is simply changing the bass note. And this is what I learned from jazz theory. It's a simple concept, but if you understand it, it will unlock a different layer of music production for you. So basically, the way we perceive a chord is not only the chord notes up top on the keyboard, sometimes the bass note can determine the actual chord. So let me change out the sound here because it sounds a little bellish. Okay, so if I play in my right hand pardon me, my brain's going 100 miles an hour. If I play A minor, okay, that's A, C, E. But if I add F in the bass, it changes the entire chord. So let me show you guys in chord watch. So here's A minor, A, C, E. But what happens if I add F in my left hand? Now it becomes a major chord. So from a minor chord, now we get a whole different vibe. So all we did is just change out the bass note. So this is another way of creating chord variation without doing too much, is simply to change out the bass. So let's start here. So what can we do? You know, without boring you guys to tears, we have E. We can move this to C, which would make this C major 7th. So let's drop this to C. See how that gives us a whole different vibe? And then now we can go off of this tone more than the top tone. So, and really what we're playing in the bass is another chord. C and E is the beginning of a major chord. C to E. So we could add any notes in the major chord. C, E, G, B is the major 7th chord. So for example, we can go down to B. This is still in this. I know we're getting a little advanced here, but if I map out a chord, these are called chord extensions. C, E, G, B, that's called the major 7th. So all I'm really doing in the bass is we're using a chord to play underneath a chord, but we're playing it out rhythmically. And this is what melody and bass lines really are. It's just chords spread out. So we have E, we're starting with the 3rd, same way we did with our melody earlier, is we raise that 3rd from the B minor chord. So that was a raised 3rd. So here we're doing the same exact thing, but in the bass, we're raising that 3rd. So where we're starting off with the 3rd of the chord C major 7. I know we're getting a little esoteric with the terms here, so don't go crazy on me. So it's E, and then we go down to the root note, then we go down to what's called the 7th, which we may change this note, and then we can go back up to what is it, C, E, G. So we can go to G, and then that could drop back down into, now I'm going a little fast here. But the perfect fifth usually wants to resolve back down 7 notes. So anytime you go up to the perfect fifth, it wants to come back down to the tonic. So if I do use the note G, it wants to go back to C. So that's where this jump might not make sense unless I come back to C up here. So we're just going to use that same note to kind of create tension. I'm giving you kind of like bullet points, little tips here and there. What we're doing is creating what's called the half step tension. Half steps want to resolve. Anytime you go from one note to the next like this, it usually wants to go back to where it was. So that's what's happening here is we're going down a half step and we're resolving back up a half step. And the biggest issue I see with beginner melodies is they don't resolve. It's just like, there's no ending to it. It just goes and goes and goes. A great way to resolve is to use what's called the dominant to tonic resolution. So this is where we're getting into jazz theory a little bit, but even if I'm freestyling like this, I'm resolving with that G to C. I know that was a sloppy melody, but now let's find a sound that's a little cooler than this one. This one doesn't match this vibe. Let's do an organ. Wow, that's loud. Holy moly. So see how that adds movement, whereas if we don't add that, it has 0 movement. So let's go back to the drawing board. So in the beginning, what up, Jesus Beats? So in the beginning, we played the suspended chord, and I'll combine these so you guys can see everything. So we played that suspended chord 027 into a minor chord 037. But the problem is it becomes monotonous to hear the same 2 chords over and over and over again. So to keep that same vibe, we kept the top portion the same, but we created movement, dynamic, by changing out what's called the contrast layer, the lower layer, the baseline area. Okay, this is what creates the movement without us going overkill, changing the top chords. Like a run-on sentence, right? See how this gets repetitive? And this is where it opens up. So this is the B section. Okay. Let's get into drum rhythm so I don't bore you guys out on music theory talk. So I just want to show you how powerful these core concepts are. And even if you're a super advanced, learner, it doesn't mean that you know everything about the basics. Chances are you skipped a lot of the basics and you're kind of stuck creating the same thing over and over and over again because you haven't revisited the basics. So it seems basic, but even to advanced people, I gave certain nuances that open up a whole different realm of stuff. So that's how we kind of unlock these. So let's go to our go-to drums pack. And I'm just going to quickly load up some sounds here. In FL Studio, you can go to the browser, just right click, open a new channel. And we need to find a snare. So again, we're not trying to create the craziest beat today. I'm just trying to move to the next part of the lesson here. Let's right click, open up. So I have a kick, hi-hat, snare. This is our beginning sources for, what up, Av? So this is the beginning of our drums. Now, what does the hi-hat serve? It serves as the metronome. That's like a metronome if it just kept ticking. That's what the hi-hat's purpose is in a beat. All right, so let's record this in. I'll show you guys a shortcut actually. If you go to your channel rack, click somewhere over here. You guys have seen this a million times, but right click and fill each 2 steps. We in FL Studio are lucky to have that feature. Other DAWs don't have that. So now we have this simple bounce. The question now becomes, where do you put the snares? You put the snares on the 3 and the 7 most of the time. Now, if you're doing Playboy Cardi stuff, you might do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're doing trap, you might do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the main rhythm. Now, if you're doing like a unique bounce, it might be on the 3 and the 8 or the 3 and the 6. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's more of a drill bounce. So it just depends on the artist you're going for. But let's add the snare on the 3 and the 7 count. So we're going to count the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the starter rhythm. Open a new channel versus open in a sampler. Where do you see open in a sample? I guess it's the same thing. Same deal. I guess it depends on the file. Maybe that's what it is. We'll get to questions in a little bit because I don't want to offset us just yet. Okay, so what we're going to do here is record what's called tresillo. So tresillo is the pattern that is ubiquitous across drill. And we have a new drum patterns course in our, if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com or go to musicproduceruniversity.com, either one, and look for our courses. Let me make sure that link works since all the links are all jacked up today. Let me make sure these links actually work. Hold up, y'all. Join premium. This should, that's crazy. My links are just randomly stop working. Okay. But if once you click past the error, it will give you the actual page. Okay. So in our new, I believe we put it in our, let me figure out the name of the course. Give me a second. I made so many courses, I forgot the name of the course. Isn't that crazy? All right, so it is, man, I made so many courses here recently. Let me just show you guys the screen. So here's our training platform. It has my name as the URL because I made this, I partnered up for this training platform. All right, so you guys are gonna see a bunch of new courses from Suno Studio to the entire catalog called Premium. All right, so there are a lot of new courses and it's called the Drum Patterns course. Okay, so I go deeper with drum pattern in this course right here. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, but the main thing that is ubiquitous between drill, Afrobeat, reggaeton, what else? Drill, Afrobeat, reggaeton, hip hop, trap is called tresillo. EDM is called tresillo. So once you understand tresillo truly, you guys will unlock a whole new side to music production. Now, it doesn't have to always be in threes. So it goes boom, 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 just like that. And I'm going to record the 808 on a different pattern here. So let's record on pattern 5 so that it's separated. Notice how much I'm separating sounds. I'm not crafting everything in one pattern. Okay, so let's record this in. That's called tresillo. 1, 2, 3. These are all tresillo bounces. Tresillo, just like that. So all we did was play tresillo over and over and over again. Now, again, in real life, you don't have to play them in threes. So sometimes your tresillo is just tre, si, like this. And it's a gap. But it's all we're doing is muting the third note. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So tre, si, o, tre, si, o, tre. Let me draw it in with a hi-hat because it'll make more sense. All right, so tresillo is this. Now this is drill. Drill's at 144 BPM, but this is the pattern. That's called tresillo. It's one of the most bouncy patterns because the notes are equidistant. Okay, so that we're using that pattern just spread out like in different time increments. So it's either boom, 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 or it's ta, 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 ta. Okay, that's called tresillo. Or it could be boom, tre, si, o, boom, tre, si, blank, boom. You know, we don't always have to have 3 hits every single time. But that is the secret pattern that you guys are hearing, but you haven't like put a name to it. So let me give you guys a J. Cole bounce. He puts his tresillo at the 1 and the 4. So it goes 1, 2, 3. Where do you find it? 1, 2, 3. Like that. power of a J. Cole Trecio is that it stacks with the snare. So you get a more powerful sound. So he used that in his song. What's this song called? Crocodile Tears, I want to say. So he's gonna, let's speed this up to like 160 something. And this is more of a J. Cole speed. And sometimes the beat just needs to be sped up. As you guys heard, once we sped up the BPM, it livened up. Let's change out the 808. Now we're making more of a J. Cole type beat. And the 808 needs to be tuned. So one way to do it is pull it up an octave. Which is our root note. J. Cole vibe, just like that. That's how we morph between vibes, is BPM and just understanding how to use Trecio. I got also here Young Thug on this. So if you need help with sounds, just go to busyworksbeats.com. I'll give you access to a lot of sounds, or go to our Discord, discord.gg/busyworksbeats. On my YouTube, if you go to the post tab, like months ago, I made a post with all the free sounds and free plugins. So you guys have just got to do your research on my YouTube post tab, Discord, and go to busyworksbeats.com. Okay, M. Kuna got unbanned. Thank you. Yeah, we had to ban a lot of folks. They're being negative, so I just removed a lot of people out of our Discord. So I'm not a dictarian, whatever the word is, dictator. But if people are being negative unnecessarily, it's like, why are you here? This is not your house, type of thing. Let's show you guys a little tip. So now we're getting into more intermediate advanced techniques, but let's say you want to get more, make this more J. Cole. Let's show you guys a little FL Studio hack. So I don't want to go too far off the rails. You guys are asking me great questions, but some stuff is just so far out, it just won't make sense for people watching back. Like how to tune in 808. You know, I could go over it, but it's just such a specific thing that I have videos already made. I don't want to derail this masterclass. So I do appreciate you guys' questions. So keep your questions and ask them as you go, but I'm gonna give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes at a certain point to ask so that we can nail through some questions. So just, if you could just hang on a sec, because we want to make a cohesive replay value. Okay, so if you right click here, go to consolidate, and we're basically gonna turn this MIDI into audio. Now the next technique I learned from Wonder Girl, so shout out to her. We're gonna double click, we're gonna right click, and we're gonna open in what's called Fruity Slicer. We're going to slice this by the beat. So we're going to click here where it says slice it by the beat, and then add a little tech. Now it's going to basically create, started from the bottom, now we hear, you know, the ding, 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 like that. It's going to create that kind of stop and go truncation, it's called. What up, Only Star? Only Lone Star. So now we have the audio. We're going to mute this, and we're going to drag in the new pattern with the chopped up MIDI. And this will become our new harmony section. So now it has that choppy feel to it. So the reason so what I'm trying to say to you guys is most people would think they need another instrument. They're like, man, my beat doesn't sound bouncy. Let me add more stuff. But it's not that you need to add more stuff. We just need to add a rhythm to our harmony section. Okay. So all we did was chop up the harmony into pieces. And now it has a bounce to it because we're adding mutes and gaps. Just like that, we have a J. Cole beat. How you feeling, nigga? combine these, right click, route to this track only. And then we're going to open up a Fruity Soft Clipper. Actually, before that, we're going to add a parametric EQ too. Then we're going to load up a Fruity Soft Clipper. And then we're going to load up Fruity Limiter, which everybody talks crap on, but it has a purpose. You hear Young Thug on this? So let's go to parametric EQ2. I learned this from Lifestyle Did It. Shout out to him. The far left fader here is actually a gain knob, so I can turn my mix up or down. And this is important because Fruity Soft Clipper, you're not going to hear a tone unless you slam into it for the most part. So I'm going to turn this to the right. Oh, that's Prototype Audio. What up? Shout out to Prototype Audio. Y'all the ones that make plugins, right? Or am I tripping? I might be mixing you up. Hold up. Let me see whose channel this is. Okay, it is Prototype Audio. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, Fusion and what's the new one y'all got? They collab with Spawn. So shout out to Jacob from Software Audio. So if you guys didn't know, Fusion is good for, I did this video a long time ago. But basically you can slap this on your 808s. It gives you different textures. It's a multi-band saturator with different saturation styles per section. So that's what those little 3 CD things are. It gives you different styles. And then they had another delay plugin. I forgot about that delay plugin, not gonna lie to you, called Matter. Okay, so I think we used that a long time ago. It's been a minute though. Appreciate you hopping in. That is the Prototype Audio. So go subscribe on Instagram. So one of the things is when you're mixing, you know, I'd recommend you guys turn your headphones up, because a lot of the time when you're mixing, you're listening at a lower volume, so you're just slamming everything, which is good at the tail end of mixing. But in the beginning, you want to be better at leveling. So the way I level easily without any plugins is I turn my headphone mix up so that everything is louder in my ear, and I'm like, ah, crap, and I turn it down. And this will give you more headroom. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here is turn my headphones up. And I can hear the snare is a little too aggressive, and the 808 is a little loud. The hi-hats are definitely too loud. And now we have a little more breathing room, okay? So now I can turn my headphones back down. And the first step is going into Fruity Soft Clipper. I'm also on a new computer. I don't have the Prototype plugin to pull up on this computer. This is a brand new computer. But we're going to turn the threshold to the right. This is basically, it gives you a taller sound. If you turn threshold to the left, it gives you a very squashed sound. Fraction is the new VST. Oh, shoot, Fraction. Please do. Here's the, if you send it to this email, I'll definitely see it. My other emails get swamped with too many notifications from our website. So that's the email. Even Instagram, I don't really check as much. That's funny enough. I check my email more than my text messages now. That's crazy to think. So if you send it to info@busyworksbeats.com, I guarantee we'll see it. It won't get lost in the sauce. All right, so basically what we need to do is turn the volume up going into the Fruity Soft Clipper. Now, we don't want to overly saturate and destroy everything, but this is a tone that we're trying to create. So there's a certain point where it just becomes too heavy and overly loud. There's just too much energy. What we're going to do to compensate, though, is turn down the post level of Fruity Soft Clipper. So I should be able to turn this whole chain on and off. And now I can feel that 808 move because of the headphone trick. So I'm a little bit louder. The 808's a little more scrapier. I'm listening to small, tiny details here. But anyway, next plugin is Fruity Limiter. We're going to turn the ceiling up. And what we're going to do here is called upward compression. So we're actually going to take the pointy parts of the audio and make them pointier. Whenever you soft clip or you compress, you're chopping off the tops of the audio, and it makes everything feel a little more flat. So what we want to do is add the pointiness back. Let's go to compressor mode. After going to the limit mode, turning that ceiling up, go to compressor mode, turn the threshold down, and then turn your ratio to the left. This gives you upward compression. And we're going to mess with the sustain here. Anytime you get jitter or like rapid movements with the white line, mess with the sustain. Like if you get these glitches like this, just turn up your sustain. So now every time the 808 hits, it turns up the volume. So the 808 hits a little bit more, harder and more, I was going to say. And this is techniques used by the mixing engineers definitely on Southside's type stuff. That's why his 808s sound the way they do. People are like, Southside doesn't do that. I'm like, are you listening with your ears? Because that's clearly what's happening is there's upward compression. And after this, even if Southside doesn't know, whoever touches his records definitely uses upward compression. Even if it's the sound designer, they use upward compression. So this makes the 808 poke out a little bit more than the beat. And what you can do from here is also run that again through a soft clipper if you want to buy more headroom. So now I'm going to turn this threshold to the left. So we're treating this peak different from the other peaks. Try to save your questions to the Q&A section. That way I could address it and answer that. Because again, people are going to ask me questions that are random. And it's just... So here's the before. You know, not a bad mix, but it could be better. Here's after. You can just feel the movement a little bit more. Let me turn my headphones up. So one thing to buy more room, and this is a sound design thing, is just the length of your 808. If the length of my 808 is like, boom, there's no room for movement. So if I had the 808 this long, it's not going to sound dynamic. So that's why we are truncating the 808. And now you guys can feel that bounce. Okay, so these are little small things people don't think about when it comes to production. So I just wanted to focus on stock plugins. We didn't get too deep into like mixing, but from here you would just, you know, turn it up, basically get the levels higher. Here's the before, which is not a bad mix, but it's just there. It's after. So I'm showing you guys how far you could take it. So we created our first trap beat. If I didn't talk through it, it probably would have taken 10 minutes using all those steps. Let's do a quick Q&A because a lot of people are asking questions. So let's do a Q&A break and we'll definitely continue this live stream. Let's just do a little quick, what do you call it? Intermission, if you will. Hold up. Gotta mute my mics. I have two mics on. Let's save this as a live stream too. So I appreciate you guys hopping into the live stream today because I really want to empower people to have confidence to know that there's more to learn. Trust me. You don't even have to trust me. That's a fact. There's more to learn in music production. Guarantee more to learn. And when you study the basics, I know people say I make beginner videos, but like you got to realize like the beginner blocks is how you build a house. You got to learn how to build the foundation. Let me pull up the chat real quick. I gotta grab the URL here. And by tonight, I will have those URLs figured out. We're gonna hit up HostGator, figure out what's happening with the URLs. But yeah, if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com, you can find all the free promises we have for today. All right, let's start with I'll just go backwards. Okay, I have to clock back into work. Can I rewatch the stream? Yes. Shout out to Self Mastery. Ting Society, nothing to do with this video in particular, but the overkill of new MPC or DAW app every 5 seconds is hurting society. What do you mean? Nothing to do with I think it's cool to get people excited about stuff. I feel like that's what's missing from music is people being excited. You want people to be excited about drops. Like when FL Studio 25 dropped, I was like, this is the antithesis of excitement because I pointed out my points before. But it didn't get us excited, you know, like Logic Pro 11.2 got me excited. Suno Studio got me excited. MPC Live 3 got me excited. I don't even use MPC. Loren Beat says, can you explain the whole beat making, please? All right, we'll get into that throughout the masterclass. That's a very broad question. Are you going to do song feedback live stream next Friday? This Friday? Yes. We're going to go live from our Discord. For those who are wondering, we do song feedbacks. We do a live stream where we give people feedback in real time. Gave me the motivation to update to the latest FL. Also bought lifetime subscription to a website. Much love, Rocco. Thank you. Yes, and keep feeding me suggestions through my email and however else you reach me, because that keeps me creating new stuff for the website. He says, I pour my money in. They even got me like this. Who's they? Oh, you talking about NPC? I'm looking for questions here. You said, yo game, didn't know how kind your followers were. They do not deserve the time you spend on them for the most part. Wait, that's like a backhanded compliment, ain't it? It's like, yo, your girlfriend is so kind. She don't deserve you though. Like what? It's crazy. It's crazy combination of words. Good to see not many jerks like that one out there. Kind of lost in your logic there, Juan, not gonna lie to you. Getting some sauce in this lesson, cool. I swear I saw more questions. It says, okay, here's one from Loren Beats from before. He says, hey, just a question. I use loop and after, I use a loop and after a set the drum after that, I have no idea what I'm doing. So you want to use that 4-component system we talked about earlier. It's the top line. This is the memorable melody. Then you have what's called the harmony section. These are your chords. Then you have the contrast layer. This is usually your bass or counter melody. And then you have the rhythm section. So anytime you're just dragging in a loop, adding drums, it's because you don't have control over those 4 components. So there's nowhere to move. You have no variations to create. So that's why I'm teaching you guys this stuff. Any tip for overthinkers when it comes to beat making? I don't think people are overthinking. I think they realize they need to learn a lot more. I don't think people are overthinking though. Just understand this: when you go into your DAW of choice, you're either 1, experimenting, or 2, you're trying to leave with a product. And I also give you guys a songwriting system. It's a 9-step system on how to always get a song out of your session. And the long story short is you're either trying to learn something every day in your DAW where you don't have to export it into a beat, or you're trying to export your thing into an actual product. So you just need to separate the two and stop trying to force your learning to always mean something. Sometimes, like when I code, sometimes I just need to revisit loops and variables and whatever, dictionaries and lists. I don't need to always build an app every time I practice coding. So just separate the two. Hung Lo says, yo, when you gotta, wait, I read this wrong. Hung Lo says, yo, when you gonna pick up an MPC Live 3? I'm in talks with Akai. I mean, we're just kind of like friendly, more so in music, the parent brand. I'm more in talks with them. But who knows? I don't know. Why did you shift the 808? Because it was out of key. Not out of key, but it just wasn't hitting the way I wanted. All right. Any more questions before we transition back into beat making here? Just want to make sure I'm covering everything. They do help, they lack a lot of fundamentals. What do you think is the best progression for UK Garage? I don't study UK Garage, but I would assume they use a lot of 9th chords, 11th chords. And when people say progressions, I don't think in that way. I don't think first, second, third. Like, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking what chord type, and then how do I resolve the chord type? So let me switch my sounds here. So for example, house music might use more 11th chords. Let me pull up the thing here. Now, again, I don't listen to Garage as much, so it might be a bass sound. Who knows? I don't listen to Garage like that. But I do know house genres like that. They build off of really lush chords like 9th and 11th chords. Let's go down an octave because that octave's a little lightweight. So, I mean, it's probably one of those, and they're playing via, they sound design it so that when they hit one note, it usually triggers a chord. That's usually how they play those chords so fast in house. Again, I don't know the song you're referencing. So off the top of my head, it's probably a 9th, 11th, or 13th chord. Are you familiar with Logic? And if so, do you prefer FL over Logic? I actually prefer the sound of Logic Pro over FL Studio, but FL Studio has its benefits, but I think Logic is right there with it. I think it's right there with it. I think it's way better though. Sonically, it's better. Melody first or drums first? Which one do you prefer? I do drums last, I've noticed. I don't really start with drums. The only time I start with drums is for like boom bap genres where I'm sampling because I have to fit the sample around the drum. James says, hey, I have trouble with making kick patterns. What's the best method for creating catchy kick patterns? So I covered it earlier. You might not have been here, but it's called tresillo. So it's boom, 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 boom. You could use that in so many ways. I just covered the basics of tresillo, but when you truly understand the power of tresillo, you're like, wow, everything is tresillo for the most part. I'm simplifying it because that's the building block, but that's what it is. What a Vion. Does R&B rely on specific scales? For R&B, you're going to deal with more. Here, let me open up. I've noticed R&B, they dabble with major scales, but keep in mind, I didn't cover this, but every minor scale has a major scale. So that's how I can go from C major to A minor so seamlessly. For example, then I can go. They sound cohesive because C major, the relative minor scale, and the way you understand this, I guess I'll teach you real quick. This is kind of a bonus, but I don't want to go too deep into it. But C major is all the white notes starting from C. So it'd be all these notes. Okay. Now think of major, we're generalizing here. This is just to kind of understand the concept. Is major is a happiness and upwardness, whereas sadness is a downwardness. So the way you go from the major scale to the relative minor is you take the root note of the major scale, in this case C. You can't see the piano. Oh, my dumb self has the wrong screen on. Glad you said that. Thank you. My bad. All right, so let me do that again real quick. All right, so C major is all the white notes starting from C. All right, and think of happiness as upwardness and think of sadness as downwardness. So I'm going to generalize and say major scales are happy. I know that's not true, but just generalizing saying that. Minor scales are sadder. So we're going to take the root note of our major scale, which is C major, and then we're going to count down 3 notes to sadness, downward. So 1, 2, 3. Now play the same exact notes that were in C major, but just starting at A. So it's all the white notes starting from A. That's how you get the relative minor scale. So instead of thinking of the major and minor scale as 2 separate things, it's actually the same exact thing. They're just starting from different points. And when you comprehend that, you'll be like, whoa, that's what it is. So that's how jazz people can do this. And it sounds cohesive because you're using what's called the secondary dominant. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that's, and we'll get back into the master class here. Can you make a Zaytoven beat? Or a Zay Levelton? Who is Zay Levelton? I think he means Zaytoven, I guess. How can you know what chord is playing from a sample? You're going to have to use your ear, but also too, you can mess with a plugin called Scalar too to help you map out the audio. You could drag in the audio from the chord, or you could just click in the notes you hear and it will tell you the chord. Prototype says, what do you say about Ableton, by the way? We talked about it earlier. Basically, I use it when people ask me to use it, but it doesn't motivate me to make music. Like, it's cool as a sound design tool, but I prefer Logic over Ableton. Just, I don't know why, it's like Logic a little bit better. Any tips for sampling vocals out of a song into a hip hop remix? We've covered that in many tutorials. You're just gonna have to type in vocal acapella BusyWorks beats, see if you can find some videos about it. All right, so I don't want to like cover too many tutorial things. I want to make sure I'm on track. Okay, so with this portion of the video, what have we gone over so far? So I know it was seamless, but we went over chord codes, meaning how to create chords from scratch. I showed you guys how to do that. Where I can make a minor ninth chord without knowing anything about music theory. Yeah, you take these concepts, you apply them, and then you're going to run into a wall at some point, and then you have to solve your own thing. But you're going to have at least the foundation knowledge to know. So we went through chord codes. We went through some melody. We went through the 4 components. We went through scales to a degree, but not really. We went through, let's just say, chord movement, I'll say. We went through some arrangement tips. Excuse me. And then we went through some beat mixing. So we covered that much in the short amount of time. And we still have tons to cover. But I just want you guys to understand we went through a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time. Snack break over, right? So let me know what kind of artists you guys like to create in the style of. Let's pick an artist. Favorite artist. Somebody who's like mainstream. Nothing too cool, kid. I'm not in the underground like that. Is Dorian scale good? Yeah, Dorian's good for, sorry about the background noise. Dorian is good for R&B, I've noticed. So Mike Dean. will.i.am, my man went really mainstream. Travis Scott. So the last beat we did was more of a, I guess we kind of morphed it from Travis Scott into J. Cole. Mike Dean. Does Scalar give you chords that complement any sample you drag and drop? I believe so, yeah. I'm on Scalar 2. I don't know how Scalar 3 works, but the Scalar 2 would work that way. It would map out chords and give you ideas and stuff. My scale highlighting isn't functioning well. I don't use scale highlighting for many reasons. I just wouldn't recommend using that because it's going to train your brain to get confused around the color changes in FL Studio. I wouldn't recommend it. Hussein says, do you think it's okay to use free loops from others and only make the drums yourself? I mean, to each his own, whatever gets you excited. There's no right or wrong. will.i.am Pharrell, Yeet with chords Benny X uses. Yeah, let's do like a Benny X type. Now, it's not going to sound exactly like Benny X because I haven't practiced in a minute. So let's just go through the concepts, okay? So what's the formula? So let's start with the top line. We're going to go to the harmony section. We're going to go to the contrast section. We're going to move to the rhythm section. All right, so we're at 140 BPM right now. Now, I've noticed Benny X is very musical, so chances are he starts with the chords. So let's open up a plugin in FL Studio. And in this plugin, I like their keyboard sound. So let's start with the keyboard. Let's go to where it says Crystal EP. Let me turn off my keyboard. All right. Now, to keep it simple, Yeet is all about what's called chordal harmony. Okay, so if I open up Morphine, for example, this plugin, we're going to find a root note. And again, they usually stay around E and F. So let's start here at E. And then we're going to add 5 notes up from E. This is called the perfect fourth. We didn't cover intervals in this video, but you don't really need to know that just yet. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. What is the easier method for 808s? What do you mean? The easier method? That's very broad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take this top note. Let's pull this down. And this is the foundation of what creates a Yeet style. It's called chordal harmony. But we're not going to necessarily do it that simple. We're going to use probably 9th chords or 7th chords. Let's try different styles. So I want to start with the top note here. Okay, now we're going to pull these down so that it creates a bass layer. So instead of using an 808, we're going to use this keyboard. 3, C, O, 3, C, O, 3, C, O, it's 3, C, O. We'll do Mike Dean next, just remind me. Elton John. Okay. All right, now I'm going to start with the bass stuff. So for me, this is called the contrast layer, okay, because it's a deeper tone. Now we need to find that Benny X synth sound. I have it somewhere in here. let's just use this sound here. Now I'm mapping this sound out first because when you add too many things, you can easily clash with the sound. So I'm adding it first so I don't clash with it. Now, how do you know the note? So what I'm doing is I'm playing D to A. And if you notice, the first note I started off with is A. So in short, the notes that tend to work together all the time is called the perfect fifth. So D to A is a perfect fifth, 7 notes away. Just to kind of give you guys a shortcut. Let's record this in. All right, so I did D to A and then A to E, which is, they're all perfect fifths basically. Is that bars? Did I just rap just then? So these are both contrast layers. Crowd pleaser vibes. Let's start with the rhythm. Now this kind of genre, I would really get the rhythm down because the top line is not the same kind of approach. It's not a ballad type of top line. So let's find some Yeat drums. I think I have some. Let's just use our sounds here. I think he uses a clap. Can't remember if he's more of a clap or a snare person. Yeah, I did a half step. There's a lot to explain. So I am kind of like shortcutting some of the knowledge here because I teach this in another segment called the 7-note system. And I'm trying not to overly teach everything right now. There's a lot to teach there. All right, let's just do a basic rhythm here with the hi-hats. So our goal now is, because we started with the contrast layer, it usually has a lower energy. So our goal is to add more energy, and energy is more frequency, more faster things and higher frequencies. And let's add some more. All right, let's add some open hi-hats in here. All right, just need a simple open hi-hat here. Here we go. 1, 2. Might switch up where the open hi-hat is. Now, usually the open hi-hat is on what's called syncopated areas. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like that. It's on the syncopated. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're gonna put them on the ands. That's usually where open hi-hats go, mixing vocals. We'll see what we can do. We can't cover everything about everything because this video would be 17 hours long, but we're definitely gonna cover beat making. Now let's add the clap. And I have courses about vocal mixing. We just added to our website. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's the cool thing we could do with the Yeat. We can move around that snare hit. So it could be on the 3 and the 7, or the 3 and the 8, or the 3 and the 6. And that's what creates that like different bounce. And now let's create some harmony with the piano. We're gonna add a note 5 notes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now my ear likes the perfect fifth better for this tone. Now here's where there's a lot going on here, y'all. So if you're a beginner, no worries. We're just covering a very advanced kind of artist production style, especially Benny X. So we're gonna double click. We're gonna switch this to a slide note. So we'll slide all of these 3 notes to this note. So that's how you create that, like, that movement. So let's go through different sounds. I really like that one sound. There we go. right, so now we need some 808s. Let's do the classic Chase the Money 808. The arrangement, yeah, it comes down to those components. So at the end of this, we'll make a full song idea. All right, I'm trying to think, who has the Chase the Money 808? I think it's in the pack. So also too, if you're a beginner, take one whole day, 2 days, search every sound pack you can find on the internet. Plug in sounds, just don't even make beats, just search for sounds. You're gonna be finding all types of stuff you've never seen before. So again, remember, sound is a very important portion, because when you get the right sound, you're gonna be like, oh, they're just doing this. Okay, so 90% of production is people trying to make the sounds that aren't the sound, and you're spending more time trying to make the sound that isn't the sound. So that's why you think production is super complicated most of the time. Okay, so I'm looking for a specific 808 here. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's this one. All right, this one's more smeary. All right, so I got to make sure I dodge that other bass note. This is the tricky part. That's why I started with that bass note, so I know exactly where it is, so I can just dodge it. All right, so that's how I'm playing the 808, is I'm trying to avoid the other bass sound. And that's how you come up with those kind of patterns like that. Now, the 808s need more movement, so I'll show you guys how to do that. So now we need more energy. How do we get more energy? More harmonic content, sounds that are very aggressive or faster moving things. So we're either gonna make the hi-hat faster. I don't think Yeat uses kicks too much, but we could add a kick in here for more. I don't think he uses kicks though. So we'll just do this just for fun. He uses kicks. Let's use the plugin Salter. This is another good plugin for just leads and things. Let's go to leads. Now also too, I'm going to show you guys, if you use the lead here called Analog Funk and play really low octaves, you get a nice, that kind of resonant sound. Now we need a rapid moving top line, so let's go through different presets. Do a repetitive brass. So here's where we kind of get creative how we're going to do it. All right, it's just some kind of melodic top line. Now usually top lines, they repeat themselves. Those are called motifs. The beat's okay. It does need more movement, so let's address that hi-hat. So let's add a couple rolls in here. 1, 2, 1, let it glitch, glitch. 1, 2, highlight these, hit Alt U, chop them up using the time multiplier. And we could right click to fade these. There's a lot of techniques in production for these. Let me fix some of these sounds here, this brass tone. So again, it's a little thin. That's why I think it needs to kick. Let's see if a kick fits. I might be overkill on this beat. Again, might be overkill. I think what's thrown off the ear is the timing of the snare. So let's just put it on the 3 and the 7 just so it's predictable. Actually, let's do 3 and 6. Let's swap out the sound. I feel like the sound just isn't hitting. There we go. Add a little arpeggio. Now, some people will add faster arpeggios. For me, you know, I don't leave mine going 1,000 miles an hour, but let's see what it would sound like. Another slept on plugin is called Poison. I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole of just FL Studio stuff, but super slept on. Poison. So let's stack this with the original. So again, if you're a beginner, we're doing very advanced stuff. This is not the easiest genre to make. Let's go into Poison, and man, I haven't used this thing in a while. So where's the presets? This shouldn't be like this. I think mine's kind of glitching. I don't think it's. So you can add these trance gate movements to it. So now I'm in my sound design bag. I'm just kind of zoning out. But super slept on plugin. So if I mute, now we have a lot of movement. So this could be used, or during the verse. So some people ask me how to arrange. You need enough puzzle pieces. So usually speaking, it's about harmonic control. During the chorus, you have the most excited things. It's like shouting versus whispering. Okay, so in this case, I would take out the main top line and do this more subtle melody. It's like putting a hand over my mouth without a filter. Thank you for the chords. Let's add a little more movement in the chords. See if this works. It might not work the way I want it. Yeah, I like that movement. All right, let's copy this over. So now I'm doing a lot of things just kind of by ear at this point. I'm just pitch bending the chords though with that technique I showed you guys. Let's go all the way back. Let's take it. I think the bass is a little. I don't think Yeat uses kicks. I'm gonna take those out. Okay, so listen to how the energy changes from this top line to this next top line. I'm also going to change out the 808 pattern. Let's make the 808s a little more active. Go here. All right, I had to get the notes right. So with the 808s, I'm also going to do the same pitch bending technique. It's a little hard to hear the tuning because I was freestyling. So let's pull it up an octave, control up. That's why we use this half step. It resolves nicely. So here I'm just going by ear. Okay, so now that I have those notes, I want to also try pitch bends. Pitch bends for 808s only work as long as the 808 is sounding. So if the 808 isn't long enough, you can't pitch bend it. It won't. Well, it will pitch bend, but you won't hear the pitch bend. So let's add pitch bends in here, but the 808 has to be long enough. So if it's like doom, doom, you're not going to hear it go ew. But if it's like boo, then you can add a pitch bend that goes boo, like that. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So we're going to add pitch bends to make the bass more, feel like it has a pitch envelope on it. And the easiest way to do this is pitch bend it down into the next note it's about to play. Thank you. I was hoping somebody understood my gibberish. Thank you, John. You could also pitch bend upwards too. So let's pitch bend up. Now, when you pitch bend, it doesn't know how to come back down, so you have to add another pitch bend. So it goes here. Probably can't hear it because it's so fast. So let's do this. Make it a little bit longer. So I'm hitting Alt to make these notes shorter. So it goes here, like that. Thank you, Taco. So it goes here, like that. So that's how you do pitch bends without a MIDI controller. The easier way. you automation for 808 pitch bends, but you can't really control where it lands. All right, now let's pull this down an octave, control down. I also think we need more snare activity, like more bounce snares. Yes, but only with FL Studio plugins does that work. You can't pitch bend third-party plugins in FL Studio the same way. So let's just see where we are with the melody. I think what I'm missing from this tone is a fifth. So let me see. Is there a second oscillator in here? Thought there was. Yeah, okay, we have a sub oscillator. Let's do a fifth added in. Oh, dope. So in here, the 808s could be a little stronger. So this is where I would swap out the 808 for a stronger, maybe a Zaytoven style, like this one. And here's where you have to play that kind of mix match game where it's like you want one 808 to play, but you don't want it to clash with another. So this is where you have to, I would recommend you turn on ghost notes, click here, go to view, go to ghost channels. So basically if I make 808s in the same channel rack pattern, I can see where the other one hits so I can avoid it. So basically on the downbeats, I'm going to add the stronger 808. It's just that way we have a, like, they work together. Just lining them up. Then I'll show you guys the growth speed technique. All right, so it's hard to hear this 808. Let's hit control up. Now to avoid 1/808 clashing into the next, we're gonna click on the 808, go to the wrench tool and copy this value. This is called the cut group. We're gonna go to the second 808 and paste that same number here so that when one triggers, the other one will silence. Called a choke group. So that you don't have any 808s overlapping. Okay, so we can send that Poison melody to the growth speed. If you guys want to take this even further, you could try out different presets under momentary. Get a half speed. Blend this in with the time knob. So now you have 2 layers. So let's create an automation clip so we have some more changes over time. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys little things you can do. Let's go all the way back. Yeah, rests are very important, especially in sample music. And then we'll move to a different genre after this. So I'm gonna level this a little bit by turning up my headphones. So I don't like this reverb. It's a little too... There we go. This could be better in terms of tone, but we're not going to obsess about that. So I'm just going to show you guys plugins that I would use for this vibe. We're getting into really advanced land here, but to get the texture, there's only one plugin I know. It's called Michelangelo. All right, we're gonna route all these sounds by right-clicking, route to this track only. It's gonna create like a ripply sound like Playboy Cardi. Let's turn the tube compression up. Repetitive with the chords. This one's very bright, a little thin, because I added the EQ. It really comes down to the bass. We just don't have time to be sitting here to go back and forth with the bass. Needs more of a Zaytoven bass. Contrast that with, like if I take out the bass. So I'm gonna sit here for days and days and days trying to find a bass. Where's our other pad? Oh, I'm looping it. Duh. We're gonna move to the next style. Y'all got me focused on this now. Boom, boom, boom. So notice when I take out the bass, that was the thing it needs adjusting, in my opinion. It's also a little bright. All right, let's move it to a different style. That one, very intermediate to advanced. Can't say that's for beginners. But once we started, we couldn't really just stop. All right, cool. All right, now you guys get to pick the style. Now again, I have a bunch of new courses. If I'm skipping over stuff or going through stuff a little too fast, you know, I have brand new courses from beat mixing to vocal mixing to a whole bunch of stuff. Just go to busyworksbeats.com, click where it says, you know, our course, our premium, where it says join premium, and you guys can learn more about premium. I forget who else you guys said you wanted to do. What was it, Mike Dean? Now, if I do Mike Dean, we're going to have to do it in Logic because that has all the Mike Dean type sounds. So you still want to do Mike Dean? We just cover Yeet to a degree. You guys get to pick. So while you guys are voting, let me check something real fast. So again, go to busyworksbeats.com if you guys are trying to level up. We have a lot of new folks, so I have a lot of people to serve here. Checking the pulse. We're at the 2-hour mark. It's like my body knows I'm at the 2-hour mark. It's so weird. Perfectly at the 2-hour mark, my body's like, all right, stop. I don't know how it knows. And you guys will get the project files for free for watching today's live stream. I'll upload these to the free downloads area. So if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com, sign up to get your free analog lab bank, and then I'll give you guys access to the project files. Just joined. Oh, shout out to you. Y'all tired, huh? Well, I promised Mike Dean. So here's what we'll do. This is going to be more motivational production than, yeah, I'll do it in FL. So if you're a beginner, just don't think that this is like, that you have to know anything about what I'm about to do. I'm just showing you guys how far music production goes. So we're going to use this Stratocaster. We're going to load it up. Let's take out these effects first. And we're going to run this through a plugin called Harmony Engine. So Harmony Engine, where are you at? Harmony Engine. Here it is. All right, so we need to map out a scale that we want to focus on. In this case, we'll do, let me turn off Harmony Engine for a second. I believe that's C minor. Triple check. Let's go to scalar just to triple check. I don't know scales off the top of my head, so I don't memorize that stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's C minor. Okay, I was right. Okay, so I based that on the first chord that I could play. Shout out to Nick with it. So we're gonna run this through. It's a minor ninth chord. But we're gonna run this through Harmony Engine using the same scale, in this case C, natural minor. All right, so let's record this in. Okay, now we could add effects before Harmony Engine, so we could add something like Guitar Rig, for example, or what's that plugin called? Petrucci, Archetype Petrucci. This is a really good plugin for electric guitar. Great overall plugin. So let's turn this down. I guess it's struggling to grab the tone because it's distorted, so it adds a certain amount of harmonics to it. Maybe let's add this second. No, it's gonna go crazy. Let's go through presets. I forget which preset sounds good. Whoa. Tupac's. Let me just use the built-in. Oh, this is on. I forgot to turn that off. That's why. I think Guitar Rig is going to give us a cleaner sound. So we're just looking for a simple distortion, nothing wild. Usually it's a fuzz distortion for Kanye style. See how it creates that, like, shout out to you. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but shout out to you. So let's use this as our starting point. Let's convert this to audio so we can treat it like a sample. Now, as far as those drums, they're called taiko drums. I think, what is it? Korg may have some, and what's called the Korg Triton. Again, if you're a beginner, we are into like beyond advanced land. This is like stuff that even people who are more seasoned don't even know this granular of detail. We need to find a plugin called, a sound called taiko drums. And I think Korg has some. So it's this kind of like, I think it's a Japanese drum. It's like their cinematic drums. And we're gonna play in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Where's that trecio? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, it's triplets. So I'm just gonna record this. It's a little sloppy, but. So it's a different drum, not your typical trap drums. Now, if you want to quantize to triplets, you need to highlight everything. Go to your snap to grid, go to 1/6 beat or 1/3 beat, and then hit Control Q. Now in FL Studio, they changed the shortcut for whatever reason. So we're gonna go to here and go to quick quantize. I think maybe it's trecio. My ear can't really tell if it's triplets or trecio. So ta, ta, ta. I guess it's trecio. Okay, my ear was wrong. So let's do quarter beat. Now these, again, taiko drums are gonna range. This isn't the greatest sound. I'm trying to think of a better, who would have the actual taiko drums. This is where sound selection comes into play. To know that that's not, the fullest sound that we can get. I think I have a contact library that has taiko drums, but if I can't find it, I'm not gonna be going crazy for it. Let me see here. So I should be able to find it in my, can you search on here? I don't think so. So it'd be under either orchestral or percussion. Here it is, taiko. See, these sound way more, not the greatest tone, but a little bit better. Let's try out some of their, so these are random like Roland. Yeah, so like I said, different plugins give you different quality. I don't think I like their taiko though. So this is one of those things where you just gotta like hunt down the sound. I'm not sure I have this on hand. I think I downloaded some taiko drums a while ago. Here it is, taiko drums. Okay, so I do have one shots, but you see how many there are? It's like a lot of them. Let's just use this as a placeholder and then we'll go back and swap out the sounds. You got it, you got it. So when I'm thinking drums like this, I'm thinking which one is the kick, which one is the snare tone. So these are clearly like snares. All right, so I'm just keeping it really simple here. So Kanye would be like he's switching out these samples. So it gets very granular with that. It would take me time to just sort out that. So for now, we're keeping this little tritone placeholder. Now from here, I might do a retro synth like a Moog. Let's go to Analog Lab. I even have some presets in our sound banks, so I'm going to use some of these just to save time. Okay, so let's use this one. It's for the Neptune sound. Let's record this in. So I did not play the second end. Now we're clashing with all these frequencies. Everything's clashing. We need to start filtering out sounds. So let's get rid of the lows of this taiko. They're clashing. Let's take out the lows of this guitar. Gotta line up these bass notes. I know I'm moving quick, y'all, but I'm just trying to get through this. Dang. So it's basically we're stacking up the fuzz guitar with some kind of Moog or distorted detune bass. Now we just gotta balance these. We'll do something to the where is our SPL transient design? Make these a little more pointy. Now we could do arpeggio, or we could just do string overlays. This guy in my neighborhood with the motorcycle is getting annoying. He's like, hey, everybody just bought a motorcycle. We do not care, bruh. Strings. So here we're going to look for general, you said it's a free guitar plugin. Is it for mixing or is it for creating the guitar? So now we're going to look through Nexus to find some classic strings like this. Don't you hate when people try to show off with the... I'm like, can y'all chill out? It's just not necessary. Okay, so now we're going to play the chords. Playing these kind of fast, so let me see if I want to play one chord or multiple chords. Usually with strings, you don't switch chords that fast. Kind of like C minor. So I'm just going to play one chord, which is C minor. For my human nature. I want to change out that third chord. Now here I want to go like... Swap that chord. So I know this is real production. I'm not overly thinking, oh, I need to be playing a F flat right here. Or I mean E flat. I'm just going based off the shapes. That's why I said shape is very important. When you get an actual keyboard, you're just looking at shapes. We could probably fit a violin in here somewhere. I don't know if I have any violins though. And then we definitely need to change out the drums. Let's see if we can find a violin. I don't think I have one though. So Native Instruments has a great one called Middle East and the Stradivari violin. I just don't have it installed. Maybe even some flute. Let's add some Indian instruments in here. Fit the texture. Okay. The texture. My texture is the best for chinchilla. Let's see if we can find a violin somewhere in here. So under strings, where would it be? Here we have a viola. So I'm just gonna play exactly what we played in the bass. A little bit different, but whatever. So now we need to get those drums hitting a little bit harder. So we basically need to find the kick and the hi-hat of the taiko. I feel like that's a nice impact sound. Tan tan ta da tan tan. So here I'm just listening to the rhythm. So we need tan tan ta da. Now we need a ta ta. Okay. This feels a little one-shotty, like they're not real. I don't know how real taiko drums are played. But they definitely use a lot of these for that film sound. Let's see how this fares in the mix. Could be better. Like, I'm not the greatest taiko drummer. So that's a little... From here, I would probably add some chorusy. Okay, let me just show you guys what I would do. This is gonna, again, be a little fast, but we're gonna add some mini moogs in here. And we're gonna find a decent basic sound. Like this, really. We're gonna clone these. And then we're gonna delay the glide. So it's slightly later. And then clone it again. Do the same exact thing. turn it up. So what we could do here is create a layer in FL Studio, highlight these, go back to your layer plugin, and then hit set children. So now when I play the layer, it plays all three of these synths. And what you can do is go back into the synth and program it so that everything's not the same. I would pan one left, one right. So notice this style is very layered. A lot of layers going on in Kanye stuff. So a little played, a little sloppy. Now we can go to each synth and change something about it. Like a filter move. Or an octave. I know I'm moving quick here, but this is like too many steps to explain. Just changing sonic qualities of each synth. Now, if you're crazy, you could send this through Harmony Engine. Let me see what, so that was track 2. Oh wait, that was the wrong track. All right, track 2, boom. So this is the Moog, you wouldn't even know is it. Basically you get the same sound whether it's a Moog or an electric guitar, but let's turn off the guitar rig. Strings over time. Again, not the greatest beat in the world, but the taiko drums are my weakness on this one. Go back to the beginning and just add some kind of flair to it, some kind of something in here, like a string or something. Might even take out the drums. Let's add some strings up in her. Up in here, up in here. I want to play a nice big chord. Sonically, it's hard to fit it in. I want this octave down here. That bass is eating up all the space. It's hard to fit chords in here. Put up stock sounds. Let's see if we could add some trap drums in here somewhere. gonna group the taiko drum so we can sidechain them. And the bass. Give me a second, I gotta do a little routing. Let's make it ghetto on this. Let's add some ghetto-ness to it. Ghetto on this. Got my ghetto 808 loaded. Here we go. This may or may not fit, but let's try it. Is U80 Showtime though? Maybe a little too much going on, but too big. I swap it out for a different snare. We have a lot of bass moving. I think I'm gonna get rid of this. The Moog bass is just offset the taiko drums for being the main dominant thing. Something like that. It may or may not fit. Let's try it. I feel like hi-hats aren't gonna fit this beat. Yeah. So right now we have too many rhythms clashing. Gotta take out some of that. Is there to add? Maybe some piano. Record this. Again, we have a lot of things going on. Isn't timed right, so that's why rhythms are so important, to match rhythms. Should we do a sample beat next? Yeah, Logic on Windows, that would be the day. They wouldn't be able to sell MacBooks anymore. See if I take off the side chain. I think we just have too many rhythms. There's like 3 rhythms going on, and it is a little too much, but I'm just gonna force it for now. Try one more thing here. We just have way too much going on right now. Oh man. So don't be afraid to dial stuff back. Hold up, y'all. Gonna turn on my MIDI controller. Might be better. Spins 808, but let's send it through some saturation of some sort. I think, what is a good saturator? What to do with this beat. It's a little too many moving rhythms at the end to where it's like causing me ear fatigue. I'm not gonna mix this one because it'll eat up too much time, y'all. Let's move into a different beat. So that there's still missing pieces I would use from the Mike Dean approach, like a sawtooth type sound. Not as bad as I thought of the rhythm. I think I was just doing too much with the 808. So, you know, with Kanye ideas on it, sure it could turn into something. You know, like more transitions and things like that. mix on the master in here. With key we're in, I think this key was C minor. I started at G and then I went down to C. All right, that beat was aight. Again, not the craziest beat. I think when I start going crazy with random genres, that's when it goes haywire. We got a couple more things to cover. So if you guys want to learn something specifically, remember this is a masterclass. So I'm showing you guys how we went from beginner level stuff all the way up to Kanye. So, I mean, we could do sample beats next. I think that probably makes the most sense. But can I cover everything about sampling? Not necessarily, because sampling is probably the highest level of music production is sampling. Because you have to know you have to know a lot about music production. Like a lot. Most of the time. Like if you want to get deeper with the samples. So let's put sample beat. Smash that like button if you didn't already. Go to busyworksbeats.com. If you didn't already, hopefully. I need to drink some water. Hold up. Get tongue twisted over here. So go to busyworksbeats.com if you have not already. We have a ton of stuff over there. Click on where it says claim your free gift. Hop into that. Click on where it says join premium. Disregard where it says error. Click the back to home page and you'll see our premium. Again, I'll fix that by the time this errors or whatever. So I don't know why that's tripping. Let's see if my other page is tripping. That page is tripping. Is this page tripping? That page is not tripping. Make sure this other page ain't tripping. That's not tripping. Okay, so a couple pages are tripping. Probably has to do with my old DNS records or whatever. All right, so now we figured out the website. Let's open up a new thing here. So my voice is kind of going, so I will not project as much because it does hurt my voice. So what I'll do is this. I'll take out the EQ. Boom. Now I don't have to like force my voice to be heard because you could actually hear my actual voice now. All right, but if my clicking on my desk becomes annoying, just let me know. All right, shout out to everybody who's still up in here. Again, if you have questions real quick, let's pull some up. Can I learn beat making from BusyWorks? Yes, you're in the right place, Gemini. I'm the person who trained the people on how to teach you guys how to make beats, so I'm the go-to guy. Now, do I know everything about everything? No, I'm not trying to perpetrate a fraud, as they say. So I have a sample I'm playing with, but I noticed that when the snare hits, the whole beat seems to duck under. Why is that? On the sample itself, they probably have a compressor to where the snare kind of takes the life. I don't know what you mean. Like, do you mean that's the sample? It sounds like that? Or you mean when your snare, I see what you mean. Like when your snare hits, it turns down the whole sample. It sounds like it's just general masking, the idea of masking, which is like, if you have 10 people in a room that are all loud, you ever been in a cafeteria and it just gets progressively louder and louder and louder? That's called, you know, well, the effects of masking. And so you have to speak it louder and louder to be heard, because if you don't, you'll be swallowed up by all the other sounds. The premium, is it for beginners? And if it's for beginners, how much does it cost? You can hop into premium for free for a 14-day free trial. If you go to busyworksbeats.com / actually just go to busyworksbeats.com. I don't know why my links are tripping. So go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. That's technically where it is. If there's an error, just click OK or whatever, and then it'll open up the website. Let me make sure it actually leads y'all to the website. That's important. Because I moved my domain name last night to Shopify, and it kind of caused a lot of weird links. But luckily, the training website is separate from my website, so that's good. So that shouldn't affect anything on the training side. I just want to make sure. So basically, when you go to, sorry, I'm yawning. When you go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, most people go with the lifetime access. Also, keep in mind we have payment plans. So if you want to spread it out across 10 months, you could do $49 a month for 10 months, and you could use the code 50. So if you click here, go to enter coupon code, enter code 50. You could basically have access to everything I've ever created for $24 a month. And for 10 months, you'll be done the payments, and then you can have full access. Once you're done the payments, you'll have lifetime access. You could do it that way too. That's a more affordable way. If you just want to get straight to it, you could do the one-time payment so you don't forget about it. You could do the monthly thing if you want. This is more for people who are just trying to like get into one course and bounce and not trying to go too deep into music production. But with the monthly subscription, this comes with a 14-day free trial. And you can cancel anytime. Just email info@busyworksbeats.com. Email me before it transacts, because a lot of people, they wait till the thing goes through, and I'm thinking I got a new customer and they're like, can I get a refund? Because I'm like, bruh. It's like, nah, I don't care. It's just annoying. I guess I do care in a way. I just try to prevent that. So I want people to like what we have to offer, not just kind of forget. Not that I'm forcing you to go through. Anyway, that's the process. Oops, wrong button. All right, y'all. My bad. I got to get my energy up. It's been a while. We've been standing here for 3 hours talking about music production, sampling. What would I do in FL? So FL, let's find a sample. Firstly, I'm going to use some stuff that won't go crazy. Of course, the landscapers want to come by right when I turn my filter off. Let's go here. Bro, hold up. Let me turn my thing back on. Between them and the motorcycle people, bro, they cut the grass every day. The grass did not grow yesterday. Nothing happened. They are finessing this HOA, bro. You don't need your grass cut every day. All right. But leave the bushes untamed. Like, bro, y'all could do bushes one day, grass the next day. Nobody's grass grows that much overnight. All right. Here we have version 5. What is this? AI music. I don't know why I have 2 folders here, but all right, let's sample some records. I need you, baby. I need you. Put up dark black. Where can I find this pack you just opened? The sample pack, you mean? This isn't anywhere. These are my samples. If you're trying to find samples in our Discord, we map out a lot of the classic hip hop samples in our Discord, discord.gg/busyworksbeats. These are from, we did Suno Studio videos. These are from Suno Studio. These are samples we generated. I need you. I think I'm going to just left click, drag this into the playlist and just do it this way. Because I'm pretty much just going to loop it. So I'm hitting Alt to nudge. We're going to grab the slice tool, hit Alt, and count the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slice. 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 Okay, that's all we need. This is probably going to be either Kanye or Dipset type sound. All right. I don't think we need the doop, doop, doom, unless we want to create a drum fill. I don't think we need that. Let's take all these samples. We need to make these unique as samples, so they're separate files. Go to the top left of each sample. There's a little icon. Click here. Go to make unique as sample. So basically, it's resaving each of these chops we made as a separate file, so we could do stuff to it. Let's move stuff around. The first thing we need to do is hit Shift Q to quantize this audio to the grid. I learned that from Infinite on YouTube. Shout out to him. Now, next thing we need to do is time stretch these. But before we time stretch, let's go to the desired BPM. So ooh, let's tap this, right click, tap it out. Ooh. So somewhere around 84, 86. Okay, so noise. Anyway, go to option, go to tools, go to macros, switch all audio clips to stretch mode. Double click on this. We're gonna go to time, right click, and go to 2 bars. That's how we time stretch. So what we did was we time stretch each audio sample file using the macro. And what we're doing now is stretching the audio so that it has a defined length of time so that it matches with our BPM. Now this is a little too long, so let's try 1 bar, not 2 bars. I need you. Now we're in that Kanye type speed, and I'll show you guys how to pitch your samples up. So as you guys can hear, the sample feels like it's sped up. It goes woo, 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 doo, 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 like it's faster. So what we could do to kind of mimic some of that vinyl sound is pitch up the sample by double clicking on each sample, go to where it says pitch and do this in 100 cents increments. I need you. That's how you get that Kanye sound. So the reason we use time stretch is because we don't want the pitch to keep changing over time. I need you, baby. And now we're in that kind of old Kanye bag. Right now. And we're going to use this. Doop, doop, doop. Let's get a snap to grid. Let's go to 1/2 beat. Line this up and try to line it up. Hit Shift Q, quantize it to the grid. We're going to double click, go to time, right click, and go to 1 beat. And that should be. So go doop, doop, doop. So that's a little natural drum break we could use. I need you. All right, so now we just got to decide how much of the sample we want versus how much we want to add to the sample. Let's hit Control L from our channel rack. It sends everything to the mixer. We're going to create a group called sample. Let's hit Control, left click, highlight all these, right click, route this to this track. So now everything goes to the sample. So I do like the bass because it's pitched up. It's not going to get in the way of our bass. I need you. So I think we can get really just leave everything. I need you right now. I need you. So now the question is, what can we add to this? I need you. It says there a pack like mine that has hip hop sounds. Go to our YouTube page, then go to where it says posts and scroll down. You'll find an area that has all the free packs, free plugins, free hip hop sounds. Just keep scrolling on my YouTube page where it says posts. Keep scrolling down. Or if you're in the Discord, go to the drum kits tab and look for the post where I give you guys a bunch of free sounds or free plugins tab. I forget which one. It's the plugins one or the drum kits one. And I list out a bunch of free, let me turn my thing back off because it's so hard to scream into this mic. All right. So that's where I list out all my free, not my free sounds, but the free sounds that I know are cool. Let me just show you real quick because it probably sounds more complicated than what it is. Hold up. So if you go to youtube.com/busyworksbeats, so youtube.com/busyworksbeats. So here's the page you guys should see. Click where it says posts. And then scroll down. You're going to have to scroll through a lot of stuff. So just keep scrolling. It's probably like 2 months ago. And I think there was a picture of like a red character or something like that. So you guys should be able to see the image of a red guy. Let me scroll down here. Keep scrolling. So it's clearly over 2 months ago I posted this. So let me see. Man, that's a long time ago I posted this. Where is it at? Okay. All right, I don't even know where it went. Couldn't have been this long ago. I think I skipped by it by accident. Let me type in the word sounds. Let's type in the word free. Maybe it was longer than I expected. But long story short, though, if you keep scrolling, we'll find it eventually. Can't remember when. I don't remember posting this long ago. Definitely was not this long ago. Where'd it go? Maybe YouTube took down the post. I don't know. It was up here. That's weird. It was not that long ago. So I'm trying to think of another word. That's weird, y'all. Y44, thank you. Says, thank you for all the hard work. Or I added that in. Thank you for all your work. Love you, man. Love you too, man. Shout out to you. I'm gonna find this post though. Now I'm like trying to figure out where the heck the post went. Where did it go? Where did it go? Here it is. I don't know how I scroll right past it. So it's from 2 months ago. It has this guy of a picture that says war ready. All right. So here it has the drums. It has plugins. It has all types of free stuff, free contact libraries, effects plugins. All the free stuff that I could find that I actually use is right here. Now in our Discord, we have all the samples from the hip hop classic records and all that type of stuff. If you guys want to sample specifically, we have those in there. Now, if you want drum kits, we have a link for the Drum Broker. Check my like recent videos. There's a link where you guys could save about 10%. If you save 10% on your Drum Broker, sorry, y'all, running out of, my throat is like super dry. But yeah, check my more recent video descriptions for Drum Broker link. It will save you 10%. I need you. And the question is, what do we add to this? Baby, all I can really hear is like kick and snare. I don't really hear a bass line that we could. Right now, I need you, baby. So let's go to one of our Drum Broker kits here. Right now, called J Dilla Sauce. I need you. Let's go to one shots. Baby, I need you right now. I need you, baby. I need you right now. So Kanye would always do doom doom. He would do tresillo, so. Let's see if we can up this tempo. I need you right now. I need you, baby. I need you right now. I need you. I mean, there's really not much to add to this. The sample is kind of doing all the work. I need you. That's because the sample has swing, do, boom, 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 boom. That's swing. So it's hard to really kind of do anything outside of swing on this beat. I need you, baby. I need you right now. That's where I might get rid of the bass just to see if we could add our own rhythm. So the doom, 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 boom, 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 because that's creating the pattern. I need you, baby. I need you right now. I need you. That bass cuts through so many octaves. It's hard to really cut it out. Right now. I need you. I mean, what else to do but loop this? There's nothing really else to do to this beat. I need you. That's why I don't sample as much with older records like that. It's like, what else do you add to a record that already has every musician on it? I don't really hear anything over top. I need you, baby. I need you right now. So I added a little lazy drum. I need you, baby. I need you. Yeah, this is like, what else do you add? A flute? Right now. I need you, baby. I need you. Maybe. Right now. It's like even if we had a low pass, it's still the same problem. I need you, baby. I think that's why Kanye would focus on vocal samples. Doom do do ch do doom do doom ch doom do doom 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 ch do doom do doom ch doom do doom 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 ch. Let's doom 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 ch do doom do doom ch doom do doom 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 ch. Somewhere around 95.
I need you.
So let me turn off that sample. Here's what we're gonna do. Instead of letting it loop, I'm gonna just use that. I'll figure it out. Doom 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 ch doom do doom. Let's record that in. Now I'm going to play the sample as a chop as opposed to the sample just looping. With the MPC swing to see if I can get an MPC bop out of it. How did you do what? I'm just playing a note on my keyboard, middle C. I didn't do anything crazy. Just playing notes on my keyboard. I'm hitting Alt Q to try to quantize these with FL Studio. Let's see if I can wrap the sample around. Now the tricky part is, how do we get each sample as a pad or some kind of triggering thing that we could trigger? So they're all audio right now. So what we could do is open up FPC. Now this is a little tedious. We're gonna go to presets, go to empty. We're gonna hit Alt to go to each audio chop. Open it up in parallel with FPC. You wanna save because sometimes this does crash. And you want to drag the sample. Now it won't have all these stretch characteristics, so you're going to lose all these details, but we're going to drag it to pad A. We're going to do the same thing with part 2, pad B. Again, we're going to lose a lot of that time stretch stuff. Okay, so now we're just grabbing each pad 4 and then Alt. Now we don't need the drum fill as the pad, but I'll do it anyway. Okay, so now I can use my MIDI controller to trigger FPC. And if you don't have a MIDI controller, you can right click your typing keyboard and select FPC and just turn this on. You can use your typing keyboard to trigger FPC. All right, so now I got to figure out which notes trigger each sample and what happened to my, okay, I don't know what just happened there. Okay, so by default, it will play the entire sample. So we need to truncate this with the attack curvature here, give it a hold parameter, give it a sustain parameter, and a little tiny release. So luckily we can copy this, so we don't have to keep doing it. And just paste. Now again, this isn't gonna have the same characteristics as we had before. So now I gotta tune it by ear. All right, so the pads are all over the place. So what I'm gonna do here is remap the pads. Clicking on a pad, you can go to where it says MIDI notes. Click here and go to last hit. We could do learn, but let's just do last hit. And let's do. So now I'm hitting notes on the keyboard that I want them to be mapped to. And now, because we added that sustain parameter, they're truncated. Now, if you wanted to change the tuning, we could change the master tuning here. See how the sample now is focused around wrapping around the drums. That's why some people do drums first when they sample. They have a little more rhythmic control. Now this kick probably isn't the most Kanye of kicks. This is more of a Dilla pack. So Dilla isn't known for his like boom. Let me see if I can find a kick from Kanye's sound. So if we're doing old Kanye, the kicks were like boom. It was almost like in between of an 808 and a kick. Dropout kick. These samples. Okay, it's the only samples that are acting crazy. Trying to think, where else do I have Kanye style kicks? Oh, am I not on the screen? Nobody was gonna tell me the whole time? Bruh. How long were y'all staring at the screen for? I mean, oh my gosh, I cannot believe y'all were just looking at my shiny forehead. That's crazy. Dang. Well, I don't know. I guess at least you you heard the concept. I guess you didn't see the concept. Man, wow. Okay, so when you tune these, apparently it only does pad by pad. There's a way to tune the entire. Okay, let's use this tuning instead. So now we're turning the samples into hits. Bro, that whole time, y'all were just staring at my daggone forehead. So now we have more, it's more of the tone of the sample and not the entire loop. We just need a better kick. This kick isn't very Kanye. Appreciate you, Y44. Let's get a better kick in it, man. Let's get a better kick in it. Let's get a better kick in it. Funny, I'm trying to line you up, but this thing is trying to line you up. You know, Just Blaze might have some. So here's a kick that's kind of like 808, but like a kick. So the one thing is the sample, it goes, there's a little snare. Let me see how I could address this. So basically what I'm going to try to use is a limiter to completely squash the snare that pops up in the sample. This may or may not work. Oh, you know, they're not going to channel 7, so let's send them to channel 7. It goes, so we're gonna lower the threshold of the compressor here, just to capture just the snare. And the ratio up, attack fast. See if we can get rid of that. Now the snare is not as apparent. The sucky part is it's capturing some of the audio, the vocal. I mean, the snare is not that distracting, but it's not that big. That snare. So I don't think we need hi-hats for this. What else can we add to this? I don't think we can add anything. You know you can do anything. This is the beat. We don't need to take it any further, really. show you guys a secret plugin since you guys made it this far. We're going to use a secret plugin called Genome. And inside of Genome, you could load what are called NAM profiles. So if you're going for like an SP1200 sound or an MPC 3000 or 2000, there are different presets people sell for these called NAM profiles. So we're going to load up the codecs under the amplifier, and we're going to do stereo. It's the only plugin I know that does stereo NAM profiles. The sample, snare's coming from the sample. And here we could load up different presets. Let's show you guys what I'm talking about. Sounds, NAM. So there's two companies, Past the Future Reverbs does them very well, and Analog X. So my favorite is Past the Future for creative tones. So I'm just gonna load up some from his or their website. Now we're gonna send our sound through Genome. So again, we're basically emulating our beat going through an analog console or a tape machine or whatever. Gives it a unique characteristic. It's just very soft and linear. But with the sampler, it adds more dynamic, it feels like. I'm also going to add a little more expansion here with some upward compression. Some piano. I doubt it. It's very full sample. Got a snare. That clink. What if we turn off the main snare? What I could do is re-trigger the sample. So where it goes, I'll just re-trigger. A little too much. I guess there is a way to do it where we could technically get rid of the snare, but it's definitely going to lower the quality, which is to print this to audio and then use FL Studio to create stems and then remove the drums. Let's try that method. It's a little overkill, but let's try it. I have like 1,000 words I'm trying to say per second. And so now it's audio. We're going to click here and go to extract stems from sample. Let's do drums and I guess everything. Now this will lower the quality of the sample, just letting you guys know. And now we can mute the drums from the actual sample. See how we lost that quality? So I guess a better way to go about it is see if we could phase flip the snare. So let's reverse polarity on the snare. This should be able to cancel out the snare. Let's mute out these other channels. Let's take out our snare. Okay, so here's before. Tink. Here's with the. Okay, so that worked. So we just phase flipped the audio so that the snare is completely removed. That was a very advanced way to go about that, but that's how you keep the fidelity of your original without doing all that extra crap. So these have to go through the same channel. They have to have the same volume, same processing. So that's how we remove the snare from that sample. We got lucky. Rarely does that line up though. And again, you guys look at the project files to mess with this. It sample is 448 hertz. Let's record something like that. Record something like that. I'm just kind of freestyling the chords here based on the shapes. Again, there's no rhyme or reason. Let's record this. So, of course, my finger slipped because I was trying to find the audio on the screen. It wasn't showing. That's what was distracting me. All right, now I got to reconfigure that chord. Darn, see, I had the chord the first time. This is not the same chord I played. Here we go. So it's a little cloudy in terms of the tone. The stems, how do you do it? You got to click in the top left of any audio. Go to extract stems from sample. Turn these 4 things on and hit extract if you're in FL. So let's arrange this so the piano doesn't come in right away. Also, I guess the kick is the bass line. Let's turn off the kick for a second. The track really doesn't have a bass. I don't think it needs one. But let's just see. Set up the tempo. You must want us to go crazy. Let's see what the tempo would sound like though. Before I up the tempo, let's make sure everything is time stretched real fast. I already know this is probably the pocket for Kanye. If you were doing like a DJ mashup, yeah, I can hear this at 118, 116, 115. For this beat though, I feel like this is a little too fast. It's definitely too fast for this one. right, let me do one more thing here, which is to add a bass. We may or may not need this. I'm just seeing if it fits in. Remember, we need to be at 448 tuning for this to sound in key, or else it won't sound in key. The kick is a very big kick. The 98 does have a nice pocket in terms of movement. It's like the kick carries you. Something's happening though with the audio to where it doesn't cancel out the audio the same way. That's the beat. I could hear a bass line on it. I'm really not hearing one though. What do you mean with that? Did I mute it? Here's the kick right here. You guys look at the project files. So you could use that kick for like the Kanye vibe. Project is multiple samples. I thought they fixed this. The project has multiple samples. Didn't they say they fixed this? So they didn't fix it. All right. I feel like we're just doing the same thing. It just needs bars. It needs, the human artist on top. I feel like my voice, if I keep using it, I could potentially damage it. So we'll play this one more time just as a quick pass through. That snare. I have no idea. All right. B0 says, just giving you your props. You've been really helping me make great beats and learn the FL Studio production platform for many years now. I've put out 5 albums, dang, locally in my city in the gospel hip hop. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Shout out to B0. If I had sound effects, I'd hit them. But I'm going to rest my voice because I don't want to damage it. Appreciate y'all for being here, so supportive. And to the people who are watching the live stream replay, you can get all the project files for free at busyworksbeats.com. And that's where you can get your free gifts for watching. The Analog Lab Bank that I promised is at busyworksbeats.com. I fixed all the websites, so I still have to go back and fix a couple links, but not as many as I thought I had to fix. But everything should be good to go. All right, y'all. Appreciate it. If you're not already, hop in our Discord. Free to join. And what else is there to tell you? We might go live later. I feel like just got to rest my voice a little bit.